Morning, folks. It's been a very busy month for our boy, and I am going to have to say there are a couple other videos that I'm going to link in the description below, which go to my actual reactions to a couple of his bigger videos. They give you the full picture generally on what I'm talking about, but I will try and do an overall wrap-up in this video as well. This has in some ways been one of Boogie's most explosive and busiest months, and in other ways it's also been one of his most boring months. As we enter a new arc that seems to be pretty much primarily based on clickbaiting attention, having taken advice directly from Emily Saxon and Kid Behind the Camera, however, also being totally ill-equipped to actually handle the negative criticism that comes with clickbaiting. Usually in these videos I do like to try and segment off as best as I can, going through his TikTok first, then his streams, then his Twitter, and usually finishing on his YouTube. But the problem with this month, and often why it's so boring for me as a watcher, is that so much of it is based around just one event. The one single event that basically boosted Boogie's view count by about 50% all by itself, but also brought so much negative attention to Boogie that he really seemed to struggle to handle the criticism. So let's begin. TikTok has been incredibly inactive this month compared to his previous months, with him uploading about 11 videos, most of which were at the start of the month before he suddenly took a break. These consist of even more of those kind of teenage girl videos where the app suddenly pops up something on the screen for you to react to, and really the only funny bit is thinking that Boogie's sitting there just doing it over and over again, trying to get something funny to respond to. He also made the exact same video 3 times in a row and made a few more videos that are just kind of like, lol, I'm fat guys, as a man who generally seems to struggle to think of a new joke. Speaking of old jokes, at least he didn't really do it with any potentially underage girls this month, so we've got a good streak going here at least. And for a change of pace guys, we do have to go into his YouTube now where the real shit show kind of happened. With his declaration at the end of last month that he was no longer doing Magic Mondays or Magic the Gathering content at all, due to apparently his YouTube rep personally contacting him to tell him to stop because it was going to save his channel, because if he kept doing Magic he would kill it, and instead he needed to move to Francis content again, which is strange since he previously claimed his YouTube rep told him to stop doing Francis content because apparently those were what was killing his channel. And because of this, to start off the month he decided to do 2 Francis videos. Both of them were really standard affairs, jumping on the bandwagon of something that was popular at the time, and neither of which were really funny or insightful or brought anything new to the table. I feel if you can write a full Francis skit in your head just by the title alone, it's not really worth a watch. These videos also were both under 3 minutes long, both performed reasonably well, but were incredibly low effort videos in truth. He also clipped out a section of the second to create a short, the only highlight of them being really
losers, Charlie Day, more like Charlie Lame, more like Charlie Gay. Oh, I can't say that no more.
And that clip kind of started the ball rolling for me really noticing something weird about Boogie, that he does seem to have a 2008 Call of Duty mindset that being gay is just inherently funny and a joke. I'll get into that more later on with some other clips. And then the bombshell hit. On the 5th of October, Boogie released a video, I Need Your Help, which went on to gain over 270,000 views. Where in the thumbnail for some reason he used a fat filter on himself to make himself look extra pathetic, and on Twitter he also had to announce and also repeatedly assure people that this wasn't fake and it also wasn't a storyline. The video showed Boogie sitting outside in his backyard, and in it he stated that he had lost most of his money to a cryptocurrency crash, immediately making the excuse that it had been a friend of his that had given him bad advice, and the friend was more than likely going to be McJuggerNuggets, who will come up later on. He begged people to watch his videos in full, share them with people, like, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff, but he also stated he wanted people to buy from his sponsors, buy his merch, and if they didn't have the money for a t-shirt, and if they had only $1 or $5, they could super chat that to him.
Two groups of people here I want to talk to. The first of which is fans who just like the content. If you click on videos you like and you watch them to the end and you drop a like and you leave a comment and you share it with friends and you click the notifications, you do the YouTube stuff, you're doing plenty. If that's all you want to do, if that's all you can do, I love you to death. You mean everything to me, right? There's a second group of people who might find themselves able to do a little more, and if you're one of those people, I'm asking for your help today too. Do you like the t-shirts I have? This one's not in the merch lane shop yet, but there's several, and I'm making new designs all the time. And if you like a t-shirt, buy a t-shirt. I make like a $9 profit off of a $25 purchase. If you don't want to buy something from me directly, you can shop with one of my sponsors. That's always an option as well. If you like a product I'm selling, get involved with a sponsor, shop through them, use my code. If you're in a position where you only have like $1 or $5, you can super chat that when you like a video. You can pledge $5 a month, $10 a month on the channel membership program.
And this is where the drama began, as pretty much people just tore apart the video and shit all over Boogie for e-begging to such a degree, especially when they compared it to a video from about a year and a half ago where he was gloating that he was now nearly a crypto millionaire because of his investments. Oh yeah, and also because 5 months ago he was gloating to trolls on TikTok that he was still making 5 figures per month.
Sure, I fell off, but I was relevant for 14 years, and I'm still making 5 figures a month right now off of doing this. I get paid on the TikTok Creator Fund. I get paid from YouTube. I get paid from Twitch. I get paid from merch. Look, I know you want me to quit social media. It's not going to happen as long as I'm making money. And when people tell me to go get a real job, it makes me laugh because I'm not going to go work harder to make less money. That might be your choice. It definitely ain't going to be mine.
The problem with the video as well was that so many people immediately saw through the manipulation that Boogie chose to sit outside in his barren garden as opposed to his usual spot, you know, in front of thousands upon thousands of dollars of collectibles and toys he could easily sell if he was that destitute. The dislike ratio very quickly passed 50% disliking it, and within a week of the word spreading, and it's now sitting at about 75% dislike ratio. He was savage in response to this. Boogie's usually very carefully curated comment section was swarmed so much he couldn't even delete all the negative comments. On Twitter too, he was torn apart by this in the comment section on his original tweet. The tale of Boogie's e-begging spread all across the internet, popping up in places like fat people posting their L's, on subreddits dedicated to crypto fields, on the Kino Casino, Mad at the Internet, the front page of Kiwi Farms, Mr. Medicare talking about it, Destiny talking about it, and probably dozens more that I haven't even seen. Hell, my sudden jump of nearly 800 subscribers can pretty much be entirely attributed to Boogie's dramatic crash and burn, as he did little but draw more trolls to himself. But as I said in my original response video, which is now nearly my most viewed video, that's what he wanted. Boogie was not poor. He was not rich, certainly, but Boogie isn't poor. Even with his view count dropping below 1 million views per month for the first time in September there, he would have still been making nearly $3,000 alone from ad revenue. That's not including the premiums, super chats, the super thanks, the merch, sponsors, memberships, the subs on Twitter, the bits on Twitter. Boogie was living very comfortably, but probably not as comfortably as he wanted, and not being able to afford all the, extra benefits he wants, and don't worry, we will get to that. But he was fine though. Boogie's currency has always been attention though, and he got it. But then he had to live with the backlash. Boogie of course lists the reasons for his account falling off, all of which of course he spends as not really being his fault, such as claiming it's because YouTube has taken the "Did you drink my Mountain Dew" video and the table flip video out of the algorithm. So yes, he is upset that YouTube isn't recommending those very unfunny videos from over a decade ago. He also lists the break he took from YouTube at the end of 2019. You know that break where he set up the Boogie Travels channel, going on to post 50 times on it from October 2019? You know, where he went from pretty much posting on his main channel from about, and don't worry, these are a rough count, 213 videos in 2018, 169 videos in 2019, 102 videos in 2020, 93 videos in 2021, and so far about 100 or so this year. And that's not including shorts or streams or any of his deleted videos from the past couple of years. Streams especially are hard to consider since Boogie's busy wiped his streaming history. Throughout his apparent break as well, Boogie continued to collaborate with other people, and of course, like I said, he set up the travel channel, which did seem to be his new focus going forward. However, COVID obviously put a quick stop to that, but he still made 50 videos during his apparent break. And should we also include the Storyfire project that he was trying to work on? However, due to them getting really no views whatsoever, he very quickly dropped the project. And in my opinion, even his Boogie Plays Games channel shows that he wasn't intended to take an actual break, as he suddenly began to upload to it again in July 2019, after having not uploaded for about 2 years since April 2017. He uploaded 6 videos in total, however these struggled to get even like 6,000 views on average, and then he stopped uploading to the account again. So I think it's pretty clear from this that Boogie hadn't actually been intending on taking a full break, he's just kind of moving back towards video games and travelling, however both of these failed. So whilst his video game content did decrease on his main channel, it's a massive exaggeration to claim that he stopped uploading and took a break, as he tried other ventures to get away from his increasingly bad reputation at the time, which were, mainly about him being a drama YouTuber who merely talked about his issues, and instead he's trying to get back into gaming and travelling. However, this clearly didn't work out for him. During the video, Boogie also said it's finally time for him to get back to work, and he's starting to put more effort into content creation with so many plans in the works, and also for him to get back to streaming more on Twitch. Which is an absolutely fine statement, and people probably wouldn't have had any real issue with that if that's all he was saying. The problem is, that's not all he was saying. Boogie in March had come out of the Frank Hassel trial finally, and he said this was his big return to YouTube. However, the videos didn't really take off after that like he probably wanted them to. When Kiwi Farms went down, he did exactly the same thing, saying that now Kiwi Farms was gone, he could finally come back to YouTube. However, the videos once again didn't take off. And that's my suspicion. Boogie keeps extending this apparent break, So he can just claim those videos failing wasn't my fault, it's because I was on a break, but now guys I'm finally ready to come back, just as a coping mechanism pretty much, so he can't be blamed for his videos going down in views. So guys, what do you do when a video comes out that gets you far more attention than you're usually used to? Well, firstly you immediately post up a short of "Did you drink my Mountain Dew?" really hoping it would push it back into the algorithm, which doesn't look like it did. But then of course you followed up with another clickbait video. This was originally titled as "Thank you, reading your sometimes mean comments." However, he quickly changed it to "Thank you, how much dollars you gave me," because he admitted that this was better clickbait. This video went on to gain about 125,000 views, already a massive drop from the previous video, and also got about a 75% dislike ratio, where once again he was savage in the comments so bad that he couldn't even curate that video. Boogie strangely starts his video off by saying he was entirely unprepared for the response that this video got, which is kinda strange when he confirmed on livestream that he had recruited both Emily Saxon and Kid Behind the Camera, who are both people known for clickbaiting for attention, to help him out with the video to get as much attention as possible. He also starts the video off with one of his other go-tos, saying he was stunned by how well people reacted to it, which is one of the things he always says anytime he gets negative publicity. He claims how he wanted to own his crypto loss, so he deliberately left out the $27,000 he had spent in legal fees. You know, for that time he had invited a troll to his house, left his safety of his house, approached the unarmed troll, fired a gun in the air in a school zone, and then when the troll tried to leave, he started shouting at him and antagonizing him to try and get him come back. Yeah, you know, that incident. He also mentions he can't get sponsors anymore because apparently people try and write to them to get him kicked out. Once again, not really accepting any responsibility for people not liking him or wanting to work with him because of his bad image. During the video, he then gets into the money earned and shows off the analytics, boasting about the number of views it got and totally downplaying that the video also lost him far more than 330 subs. The 330 subs that it shows you are just the people on the video itself who click the unsubscribe button. It doesn't include people who unsubscribe from the search bar or from your homepage. He just kind of writes off that figure like it doesn't matter, which kind of does matter when he's trying to get people to like and subscribe. He then shows the money, showing he made about $265 in ad revenue for 100,000 views and a tiny amount in YouTube Premium. The majority of the money came from Super Chats though, something Boogie is suddenly claiming to be totally baffled by and confused by that people decided to Super Chat. You know, despite, this statement.
If you're in a position where you only have like $1 or $5, you can Super Chat that when you like a video. You can pledge $5 a month, $10 a month on the channel membership program.
Boogie also then goes into positive and negative comments left on the video, and no, he doesn't actually go into any negative comments that call him out on his lies, manipulations, scams, anything like that. He instead primarily reads positive comments just to give himself a reason to pat himself on the back, but also very stupidly admits that he wants these donations so he can maintain a comfortable lifestyle for himself, and also so he can continue to pay his roommate Chad to work for him. And this is something that comes up repeatedly throughout the month, but like I said, Boogie really isn't broke. He just wants attention and he wants to live above his means. A lot of people don't actually think Chad still lives with him, but if he does, Boogie has previously claimed that Chad is disabled, so he isn't really working for him anymore. Boogie said he's actually supporting Chad now, so basically he's just paying Chad to live with him. So anyone who donated to Boogie here, you're pretty much donating to let him pay someone to live with him. Someone Boogie claims he often never sees because Chad spends so much of his time alone in the room playing video games. He does read one comment that's kind of negative, and it's pretty much just comparison to DSP, and Boogie's response is basically, but everyone else begs too, and that people only care that he does it because, and say it with me guys, everyone gets so upset thinking about me. Because Boogie still can't accept that people laugh at him, he's still desperately telling himself that he's like the troll king who gets in everyone else's head, and he's actually trolling the trolls and getting them, and they're all upset by his amazing actions.
I want to say to my YouTube trolls, happy Halloween, and I own your sad fucking lives.
You have been trolled.
And to put it bluntly, I watch a fair amount of YouTube, as people often love to point out in my live streams where I always forget to hide my sidebar. Weirdly, even the tiny VTubers who get less views than I do nowadays, they don't repeatedly just take breaks in the middle of their videos and streams to go, hey guys, can you guys give me some money please? My streams have exactly 0 times where I've ever asked for money, and I don't know, Civi? I don't remember him ever begging for money. Mandalore? No, that's weird. Destiny? Nope. Markiplier? No. A billion 2D anime waifus that I watch? Nope. It's kind of weird, guys. I don't really see any of them making dedicated begging videos. It's so odd. It's like, not everyone does that, Boogie. Boogie seriously seems to be comparing himself to children's entertainers like Logan and Jake Paul, who years ago used to rap about buying their merch. This seems to be how Boogie actually still pictures YouTube. His entire idea of YouTube is like the whoa brah, hit the like and subscribe button brah kind of channels, and like Wings of Redemption and DSP and hot tub titty streamers for how often he begs for donations. He's more like them than he is like an actual YouTuber nowadays. He does, however, intend to give back to people, like I said, so he considers it not really e-begging because he's offering to give you something back. You know, kind of like at the start of last month where he claimed that if he reached 50 channel memberships, he would start doing weekly YouTube streams for them. And then changed it to 100 memberships later on. And now has claimed to finally have hit 50 memberships, and his only contribution to his membership so far apparently has been a couple of member-only community posts. Outstanding value for money there. He went from posting a YouTube stream and about 10 individual videos last month to posting 12 videos this month, generally all with like shorter run times than the videos last month. Boogie goes on to argue against people telling him to get a job, saying that whilst he is looking, apparently it's suddenly impossible for him to get a job because he's disabled and that he can barely stand up, which kind of clashes with the 3 months of him saying he was going to the gym for hours at a time. He also claims that he's mentally ill so he can't get a job, which one is very vague, and also it's almost like saying that people who are mentally ill can't work. He also claims that he has no work history, despite routinely boasting about building websites in the early days of the internet, despite having a YouTube channel that he built himself, and despite his claims previously that games companies used to consult with him specifically when making video games.
Anecdotal evidence here, but there's a company, used to be known as Sony Online Entertainment. They made a game called EverQuest, and I got in good with the developers over there at EverQuest, so I got to play on the beta server, and I got to help them design stuff, and I got to know some really great people over there. And one day they offered me a job, and I thought that was awesome. I'm going to get to develop video games. And they offered me a certain amount of money, and I forget what the amount of money was, but considering where they were located, it would be like poverty wage. Like I would need 5 roommates just to rent an apartment in that part of California. And so I'm like, no thank you.
He also routinely continues to refer to himself as a felon, as if people with a criminal record can't get jobs. Especially as he admits to himself that he doesn't even know if a deferred adjudication would even show up on a background check. It's just so weird that he lists all these reasons as if he's playing like a trump card, basically with like a big smile on his face like he just owned those haters. But he never mentions the most likely reason he wouldn't get a job, and that's because if people searched him up online, they'd see a man screaming about paying young girls to have sex with him whilst he humps a bed, shooting a gun in the air and screaming about killing people, but no guys, it's definitely because he has anxiety that he can't get a job. This is just one of the many examples of Boogie both wanting to be like pathetic and weak so he gets sympathy and attention from his like sycophantic fans, but also really wanting to be like a Giga Chad alpha to own the trolls because he can't admit to his own bad actions being pretty much the main reason no one would want to hire him or work with him. You know, just like the sponsors. Whilst it's a really bad look for Boogie to be pretty much begging for money whilst routinely still gloating about how rich he is, the more pathetic option really is the other option. That he's basically just begging people to give him attention, as he asks for his fans to share his videos for him to try and get him more subscribers, and for them to literally pledge to sit through all of his videos even if they don't want to and even if they don't enjoy them. So whilst Boogie very quickly changed his opinion online to claim that he never once even asked for money because of all the backlash, it probably would have been better for him just to stay pretending it was about money, since the idea of him begging people to just look at him is actually considerably more embarrassing for an apparent legend of YouTube, when you're sitting there having to be like, please guys, just watch my videos, okay? Just please watch the videos, okay? It comes off a lot worse, in my opinion, even than DSP being like, give me $100 so I can put a vest on. So guys, what do you do now? You've done the 2 clickbait videos in a row and they've had rapidly declining returns. Hey, why wouldn't you try Fat Watch again? Look, I've said this on one of my live streams, which, by the way, guys, you should definitely stop by to sometimes. They're good fun. But I don't know how he managed to make something that is even less funny than his characters. It also ties in with some weird fake-seeming drama he's doing online with Dick Masterson that I think is maybe a build-up to them doing a podcast together like they planned years ago, but now they're arguing copyright over the name and threatening to sue each other, and just, it's really embarrassing. Boogie pretty much claimed that he never knew Dick had actually done a segment called Fat Watch, and he doesn't watch Dick, despite claiming he did, and he was going to do a podcast with Dick. Like most dramas involving Dick Masterson, it just kind of seems a wee bit fake, so I don't know, I wouldn't put any real weight into it. He does the first video with the fat filter as a thumbnail, and because it doesn't do very well, the fat filter seems to be just suddenly dropped and never used again, which in my opinion does really show Boogie's mindset. You'll see if you watch him long enough. For example, a few months ago he did the Personal Stories series, where he told about being a sugar daddy, being with a feeder, and also a story where him and Logan Paul had sex with the same half-sisters. And yes, weirdly, that story does come up again this month. But when the last video of that series didn't get decent views, he immediately just stopped the series, even though the first two did get really good views. Because that's Boogie. It's just so weird to see a man who's just so worried about instant gratification that the second something isn't popular, he immediately drops it and never thinks to go back to it again, which is similar to how he treats video game content. The Lizzo playing the flute video is bizarre for someone who just kind of maybe heard a little bit about this drama in the background, as he seems to just immediately imply that Ben Shapiro criticizing Lizzo for being disrespectful with a priceless heirloom is somehow proof that he is a racist sexist who hates fat people. He seems to think that everyone only cares about this because Lizzo's black and the flute was owned by a founding father who also was a slave owner. Like, I don't really keep up with flute-related drama, but that's certainly the first time I've heard someone with that take. The main claim I heard people saying was that it's just disrespectful for her to be twerking whilst playing it, which is, I don't know, who cares, you know? Boogie also does mention this bit of the controversy, but then pretty much he goes, nah, I don't care about it. Which is Boogie's usual response anytime he doesn't really have a counterpoint to it. Okay guys, I kind of have to eat shit here a wee bit. Boogie went AWOL on Twitter in the middle of the month for a few days, and I had speculated Boogie was doing the standard lolcow move that a lot of, let's say, plus-size lolcows do when they receive a lot of drama. They usually pretend to go to the hospital. Chantel Foodie Beauty did this when she was scared information was going to be released on her that would show she was abusive in her old relationship. She suddenly kicked up a live stream saying she was struggling to breathe despite talking perfectly normally whilst driving to the ER but making sure to stop off and have a fucking Starbucks on the drive. Or Amberlynn Reid's entire new clickbait storyline of acting like she had cancer and she was scared she was going to die before revealing that she literally had an overstretched muscle from trying to get out of bed. Well, I thought I was going to eat shit because Boogie suddenly came back saying that he's in the middle of nowhere at a wedding and there's no reception. But then I was kind of proven right, as Boogie uploaded a Fat Watch video where the thumbnail was him in a hospital bed for clickbait, but then when you watch the video it was just like a fluff piece with no actual substance, as Boogie often tries to jump between being funny and serious in these Fat Watch videos. His remaining Fat Watch video this month covered the James Corden drama in basically the most vague way possible, and basically he just used as an excuse to mention how hot James Corden's wife was 3 separate times, whilst generally also being unfunny. He also then covered the story of a fat girl claimed to be hot and acting as a model. You know, like, again, if you've seen any of his other dozen videos on this topic, then you've seen this video. He does come across more like an incel, though, than usual, as he randomly rants about how, like, hot thin girls just would rather be with you so they can steal half your stuff in a divorce, so he actually prefers fat girls, suddenly. That doesn't really tie up with this clip, though, does it?
I found that it was going to be a lot easier to date this time around than it used to be, because I got a few nibbles from girls that recognize me from YouTube, which then that worries me a little bit because, they know I do well there, right? So that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like Tinder was the worst one out of all the ones I hopped on, because like it's just a meat market, right? And so like the only 3 swipe rights I got from Tinder, one was just a girl I would never be interested in. She's like 42 or something, and like disabled and as big as me, and I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna work.
Wait, so she's your age and she's your size?
Yeah, and she was like on Tinder, and I'm like, where? That's definitely not gonna happen.
He also makes a video ranting about Adam Sessler, who apparently is kind of the G4 TV, stating that he's having a quote-unquote meltdown by insulting some fans on Twitter. Look, I think I need to somehow make a cool short catchphrase, because add this to the pile of things that would make more sense if it wasn't coming from Boogie is kind of long, and I've already tried ATTPOTTWMMSIIWCFB or @PotWim6FB. Those are the shortened versions, but I don't think they really work out too well. It's just so weird to see a man who is arguably more famous now for his meltdowns than his content criticizing someone for having a fucking meltdown. My favourite bit, though, is when he tries to act horrified that Adam would threaten a troll online, and how that's just too far.
Look, I'm going to fucking kill you and take pleasure doing it. I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna take pleasure. Fuck the fuck on. Then come here. Come the fuck here. You know where I live. Knock, motherfucker. Knock, motherfucker.
So, I kind of got really curious why he was going so hard on this Sessler guy, especially because he then went on to rant about it on stream as well, which weirdly included some female host called Frosk and then G4 itself. Well, that was until Detective Irishman here found a now unlisted video by G4 that covered Boogie's issue with Frank Castle, and it is a thing of beauty.
Like a modern fable, YouTuber Boogie is teaching us all a moralistic lesson with his bad life decisions. Stephen J. Williams, the 46-year-old game and comedy content creator, that's something you want on a resume. He fired a gun into the air as a warning shot to get someone off of his property, but we'll get back to that in a second. If you don't think you're familiar with Boogie2988, maybe you would know him better as his character, Francis. Nope, who raged his way to meme stardom in the early 2000s. Boogie has done his share of dumb shit in his YouTube career. He supported Gamergate, has made racist comments, and admitted on stream to tax fraud with magic card resales, so he isn't a saint by any means. Just so you know who the hero of the tale currently is, Boogie can't deal with trolls without losing his goddamn mind. In 2019, he told some people he considered to be trolls, and I'm paraphrasing, they were worse than rapists and Nazis. So needless to say, he doesn't respond well to teasing. Keeps do interviews and incites Boogie and Frank to the point that Boogie threatens to shoot Frank on sight if he ever came to his house. Guess what happens? Well, the next day, Frank showed up with a GoPro strapped to his head. Boogie fired a shot into the air to scare him off, and now Boogie is going to jail. Frank is still trolling him, and Keemstar is still getting likes on Twitter about the whole thing. The moral of this weird story, I think, is to go to therapy and don't feed the trolls. Just so you know, Boogie is cooperating with authorities and turning himself in.
After you see that, kind of feels a wee bit like spite, doesn't it? But, you know, Boogie would never be a spiteful guy. You know, not with Ethan Klein, Charlie, the official podcast, McJuggerNuggets, or weirdly the PKA boys suddenly this month.
Boogie, do you like the PKA guys? I don't really give a fuck about them. I don't like them. I don't dislike them. They are who they are. I have had a good number of PKA fans come up to me in public at conventions and shit and tell me that they felt those guys did me dirty. And if you are a PKA fan and you think that those guys did me dirty, thank you. I appreciate that. And if you don't think they didn't, I also appreciate you. But it is nice when I hear from somebody who's like, man, they used you for when you were famous, and then once you weren't, like once the tide turned against you, they had no use for you. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah.
Boogie does the same video he does every time he goes to Retropalooza again, with like the funniest bit being that he barely seemed to have anyone come to his table to film skits with, because he usually has like a dozen or so people in his video, but now he has like 3. He does, however, have the best bit online, as a fan comes up to him to do like a Francis impersonation that is honestly better than Boogie's own impersonation. So Boogie, who clearly is annoyed at someone being funnier than him, decides to call this guy fat in like the most bitchy teenage girl way possible.
Blast.
Blast.
Where's the Diet Dew? Where's the Halloween secret flavor? Have you even tried it, Francis?
They don't sell it in 2 liters. I need all of it to survive the day. Okay?
You are more convincing Francis than me. You look more like Francis than I do now. My God, that's perfect.
If you look at the timestamps of these videos, though, to me it's pretty clear that Boogie isn't desperate for money. The ideal length of a YouTube video is debatable by a lot of people, but videos that are under 8 minutes long don't get mid-roll ads. So if a video is under 8 minutes long, you're cutting yourself from additional ad revenue. So it's weird that Boogie wouldn't try and make all his videos 8 minutes long if he was that desperate for money. This 8-minute mark, though, is definitely something he took into consideration when he made a video called YouTube Kills Creators for Millions of Dollars, with a thumbnail of Mr. Beast looking tired and a grave behind him, with his original thumbnail on Twitter being a gravestone with Mr. Beast written on it. He of course mentions how he's disgusted about this whole thing, so he won't be linking or pimping any sponsors at all in it, because it just doesn't feel right, guys. But of course making sure it was just over 8 minutes so he could put full monetization on it, and also add pre-roll ads. Stay classy there, Boogie. The video's a total train wreck, which I did cover in a separate video and I will link it below. It's basically just clickbait though, as he admits himself online, because he doesn't even then go on to list like a single content creator who's died. Probably because the most famous one is Etika. You guys don't remember Etika? He was a talented young man with a genuine mental health issue that actually tragically killed himself in June 2019. You know, the guy Boogie first joked around about dying on livestream, then copied and then went around a few weeks later at VidCon telling everyone he was going to kill himself unless they helped him with his channel. Yeah, I think I can guess why Boogie didn't want to bring up the most famous YouTuber death. The whole video is basically just a massive whine-fest, with Boogie wanting YouTube to pretty much just get rid of any channels that paint him in a bad way. He pretends this is all spurred on because a friend of his suddenly was being trolled online, and Boogie had never heard about it until he met this friend at Retropalooza, and the friend was like very sad and depressed when usually he's really happy. Like, look, it seems incredibly unlikely, but sure, whatever. Of course, Boogie, however, refuses to name the person or any of the other dozens of people he's apparently talked to are all having this issue, and he says it's a widespread issue, and pretty much acts like every creator online suddenly has like a Salmon Talkie mega thread based on them, or like a really active Kiwi Farms article about them, which is blatantly untrue. It's very clear the entire video was just Boogie complaining about people being mean to him in a similar way that he called for censorship in regards to the Quantum TV Ackman situation a few months ago. He of course confirms on Twitter it is however clickbait, and also points out that how he knows some creators are close to suicidal because of there being drama channels on YouTube, I guess. He can't name any of those creators, but you know, they definitely exist, guys. Oh yeah, and he also claims that him just speaking out about it will get his channel flagged and deleted, but he's murdering himself once again in his monthly act of nailing himself to a cross. But guys, Boogie is sick about remaining silent on this, and he's wanted to talk about this for years. You know, despite talking about it literally every day for at least the last 5 years. Honestly, the last 16 years, if I'm not being generous with him. But Irishman, I hear you guys say, that video only has 31,000 views, and it's a huge clickbait video. And that Francis video, it only has 11,000, you know, despite being a major video with a super famous The Completionist in it. How could this happen? What does that mean? It's almost like I was right at the time that this attention seeking was successful in drawing on a lot of negative attention to him, but it's a blip, and it will hurt his channel in the long term. What these monthly series are soon going to turn into, really, is just going to be, what is Boogie going to do this month for attention? Because that's all we're getting now. Boogie just trying to clickbait, failing, trying something else to clickbait, failing, trying something else, and just this month he had a little bit of success with it before that died off too. Due to the failure, Boogie went extra hard on the clickbait, and somehow then made my prediction correct from earlier this month, as he released a video called It's Not That Bad Honestly, with an edited version of himself looking very old with The End on the thumbnail. It's a desperate attempt to recapture the clickbait of earlier in the month, and it isn't even able to breach 50,000 views in the end. And of course, Boogie starts it off with his most overplayed gimmick, claiming that if you followed him for long enough, you'll have noticed that he's suddenly gone crazy again, guys. Ooh, crazy! You know, despite all of his constant claims that he's in therapy now and he's mentally stable and now he's a changed, better person and basically a saintly figure of mental health who can give advice to other people now. But no, guys. He's suddenly crazy again, guys. No, guys. Stop. It's definitely real this time. It's definitely not. He's just making up some fake shield to get rid of the negative criticism about him and his whole begging thing. No, guys. It's definitely real this time. I'm sure you all believe me. This video was also a train wreck, as he claims he went viral with less views than a standard JonTron video gets in the first 5 hours. He also then specifically points out again that he got Emily Saxton, the kid behind the camera, to help him create the video, and that he deliberately made it in such a way to try and annoy people so he could use those annoyed people to spread the message far and wide so hopefully other people would come and support him, which then finally made him hit 50 memberships on the account. He claims that all of this, however, proved to him that people do love his content. You know, with the decreasing viewership figures and the 75% dislike ratio and Boogie, you know, having to actually beg people to watch the content. But no, Boogie, you're 100% right there, mate. How could I question that? People clearly love this. He then goes into the medical baiting that I called a week ago, claiming he's lost 18 pounds in the last few months and is worried that it's a bad thing. You know, despite also telling us that he's going to the gym literally every other day for hours at a time. Suddenly weight loss is bad for him? That seems like a weird opinion. He also tells us that he stopped taking testosterone at his doctor's advice due to an elevated red blood cell count. I'm sure you guys are worried. I am too. You know, what could have caused this? Clearly, Boogie sat down and he asked the doctor. Oh god, no guys. Boogie went straight home and Google searched it instead of asking the doctor who was standing in front of him. Any fans of Boogie who made it this far into the video, do you see why people like me find him fascinating and funny to watch? This is crazy. The dude literally acts like it could be anything. He said it could be something super serious, just like Amber Lynn Reid did that I mentioned earlier on, telling his audience that they shouldn't be worried about him, however, due to his anxiety. He's just so damn worried, guys. Ooh woo. He's just so worried, guys. It could be something so serious. It could be the end for, or it could be the flu, as he even mentions himself very briefly at one point in the video. Then he blames coming off the testosterone for all of his recent issues, saying that it made him depressed and made him have meltdowns online. So, guys, yeah, everything that's happened in the past 3 weeks, write that off. Can't criticize him for it. It's not his fault. Medical issue now, guys. Write it all off. And do you know what's funny? A high red blood cell count can be pretty much caused by anything, including a bad diet. If you weren't getting enough important nutrients, it can cause a spike in your red blood cells. Weird he didn't mention that as being one of his biggest concerns when it's one of the first things you find when you Google search it. But no, it must be the cancer or something like that. It can't be the 400-pound morbidly obese man who's beaten his surgery might have a bad diet. He then does his mixture between his weird parasocial nonsense and his algorithm game by saying,
But forget about me for a minute. How are you? And seriously, how are you? Let me know down below. Do you have some of those good things in your life? Is there a show you enjoy watching, a game you enjoy playing, people you enjoy spending time with, a pet you enjoy loving, a creator you like watching? What's good in your life? Let's talk about that too.
He then whines about the number of people who hate him, but then says how he wants to thank all the people that love him and how he loves them too. Really hammering in that parasocial relationship thing that he accuses all trolls of having with him. He then finishes the video by saying he is such a better, changed person because of therapy. Despite actually starting this video by claiming he's gone crazy again and had numerous meltdowns, which apparently aren't his fault, but therapy's cured him, but he's also crazy. Cool. Just cool. And of course, because he went to Retropalooza again, we got yet another trip to a shitty museum. As someone who just had to sit through all of his Boogie Travels content in the last couple of weeks, I am stunned that I had to sit through the exact same exhibits for sometimes the 5th or 6th time. All I can say is, if you want any evidence as to why his travel channel failed hard, this is it. It's just him wandering around the same few museums over and over again, showing the same exhibits over and over again, and just pointing a camera at and going, hey guys, look at that. That's kind of cool. Oh, hey guys, look at that. That's kind of cool. Oh, there's a tall guy. He's pretty tall. There's a fat guy. I am thinner than the fat guy. Not even exaggerating that final bit. But guys, the highlight of the video was when we got to see what Boogie did with those donations.
I have cargo open immediately. I have a friend with me. You need to open this. Let's see what's in here.
I don't want to.
You can do it. Let's see what's in there.
Yup, that's a new sugar baby. A dude can't even go to a terrible museum without paying some potentially 19-year-old girl to awkwardly walk around behind him, being entirely uninterested, refusing to appear on camera, and him trying to sneakily film her standing dozens of meters away from him at all times. This is exactly the same shit he did with the last fake girlfriend. Oh wait, what was that the last fake girlfriend before the last fake girlfriend? The one who appeared in the worst museum video for the last time he went to Retropalooza? The girl who kind of just awkwardly stood in the background of all the clips and kind of looked really uncomfortable anytime she appeared kind of on camera. So, once again, for any Boogie fans that are still watching at this point in the video, especially if you donated to him, how does it feel that you donated to a dude just so he could buy another 19-year-old girl to awkwardly follow him around Ripley's looking like his daughter? You could have given that money to charity, my dudes. Speaking of how he spends money on sugar babies, Boogie started this month off on Twitch in an outstanding way, as he roughly estimated, and this is his own estimation, that he spent $100,000 in 2018-2019 combined on paying young girls just to spend time with him. Of course, in a later stream, after he begged for money, he would retroactively change this yet again, claiming that it was only $10,000 in just 1 year, probably to avoid people pointing this out to him whilst he continues to beg for money. During October, Boogie somehow managed to squeeze in 3 Twitch streams, which is probably a new record for him. Weirdly, however, there were no YouTube streams, which is just... mwah, chef's kiss. The dude promised weekly streams for his members if he got 50 memberships. He gets 50 memberships, and he doesn't do a single live stream on YouTube for the entire month, so those members got basically nothing for their investment. The first stream was on the 2nd of October, where he started strong, with a sub-goal for him to dance shirtless as he sits behind a Meta PC advert using text-to-speech incredibly slowly to joke about having sex with dead bodies, joking about Asian women who work in massage parlors for happy endings, and saying he likes sucking and fucking. I am truly left baffled why no other sponsors want to work with him. It must be those dang dirty trolls. Because of the sub goal, we get to see that he only had 116 subs at the start of this. Dude has 500,000 followers on Twitter, 4 million YouTube subs, and barely is triple digits on subs on Twitch. That's actually embarrassing. The sub goal is the real start of an outstanding amount of begging throughout his 3 live streams, where he repeatedly brings up donations, repeatedly mentions subs, including outright calling out that he needs a certain donator called Uncle Chris to show up if they're going to hit the sub goal, as he tries to manipulate people into donating by going, well, if Uncle Chris doesn't show up, guys, I don't think we're going to make it. He repeatedly asks people to include the money in donations and hype trains, repeatedly draws attention to the hype trains when they start, and at several points he just outright says he's going to deliberately annoy people until they donate.
That hype train is almost to level 2. That hype train is almost, it's 94%. I know, we all want to see the hype train, don't we? Look at me. Look at me. I'll do this for the next 4 minutes and 20 seconds if we don't hit level 2. Are you ready? This is what we're going to do. To encourage you to send me to level 2, I'm going to do this. You ready? Here we go. Hold on. This will be really annoying, and it'll make you want to get us level 2. Here we go. Ready? Well, now we're almost at level 3. About to beat your last record. Oh, well then you know what? Baseball Mario. Guys, I don't know if we're going to hit 150 subs tonight. I don't know if you're going to get to see the Truffle Shuffle. I'm sorry, guys. We've had a lot of generous supporters tonight, but I just don't know if we're going to get 10 more new subs tonight. I don't know if it's going to happen. I know you guys want to see that Truffle Shuffle. We might just have to look one up on YouTube. I'm not going to be able to do it for you. It's going to make me so sad. Oh, I just wanted to show you my titties. I just wanted to show you my man tits tonight. I just wanted to show you my man tits tonight. Now I can't. Oh, it's sad times. Oh, it's sad times. We need sad music for the sad times. We need sad music for the sad times. Oh, we need sad music for the sad times. Oh, just in time. What? I didn't think it was going to work just in time. Just in time. You spent like $100 to try to see some titties. Oh, shit. Let's get some Truffle Shuffle music on. So, I don't know. But anyway, that's it. Anytime you ever decide to donate to me on live stream, anytime you decide to ever subscribe, which is what I'm trying to get you to do today, look at that sub count. Look at that, we're at 117. Can we get it to 150? If we do, I'm going to Truffle Shuffle. But that said,
we do get one of Boogie's standard tropes throughout these streams as well, which is where he always used to go, guys, you know, I shouldn't say this. I really shouldn't say this. It's not, nope, I shouldn't say this, guys. But I'm going to say it. Maybe I shouldn't say it, guys. If I say this, guys, I'm going to get cancelled. I'm going to be on the front of the live stream fields, guys. I don't know if I should say it. Guys, type in chat if I should say this. He does this all the time, and then he will routinely just say something like, guys, I shouldn't say this, but I think we're all humans and all should love each other. It always is something like that. It's always something pathetically weak and inane and very manipulative after he does all this big hype about it to try and make it seem like it's a controversial opinion or something like that. So now he's in full begging mode though. So he says, oh guys, I shouldn't say this. Type in chat if I should say this. Actually guys, I shouldn't say this. But I will if at least one of you guys donates to me. And he does it in all 3 of the streams and it is terribly cringe.
How revealing do you want me to get in this live stream? Do you want me to go all the way in? Would you like to hear super fucked up shit today? One more sub and I will respond to the comment that sex is better. That it's better to be having sex. I will respond to that, but we have to get 1 sub. I'll respond to that, but I'll do 1 sub, okay? Okay, alright, since Uncle Chris is out here gifting subs, I will tell you the most fucked up thing about me. I'm telling you, I'm about to out myself right now. This shit's going to be on live stream fails, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. Are you ready? I should not fucking say this, but Uncle Chris is here. He's spoiling everybody, so I'm just going to tell you how it is. You're going to fucking hate this about me. Uncle Chris, thank you, brother, for all the spoils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thanks for this. What is that? 5 subs, 6 subs already today? Thank you, Uncle Chris. By the way, we're getting a Truffle Shuffle at 150 subs today, by the way, boys. This is so embarrassing to admit. My biggest kink, and it's not really a sexual kink, but it's a thing I really like doing. I like spoiling people. Beautiful women, sure, but I feed my friends every Saturday night. I buy magic cards that we can all play with. I buy board games we can all play with. I loan my friends money I'll know I'll never get back. I like to pay for beautiful women's dinners and beautiful women's trips. And I'm a fucking beta cuck. It pleases me to make other people happy. It just fucking... I told this story on YouTube, so I guess I can tell it here. Who wants to hear the grossest story in my repertoire? Who wants to hear the grossest story in my repertoire? It's so gross. I told the story on YouTube. Okay, one more sub, and I'll tell the grossest story in my... But keep in mind, you can see it for free on my YouTube channel, so you don't have to give me... But if one more sub, and I'll tell the grossest story in my repertoire. It's so gross. Are we at a level 5 hype train? We got 44 seconds for a level 5 hype train. Oh my god. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm sorry, guys. Here we go. I'm gonna do it. 27 seconds. Okay, fine.
This is also the stream where Boogie talks about the sugar babies, and he tries to justify it by claiming that he took them out to like nice dinners at places like Outback Steakhouse. Like, I'm not American, I've never been, but I've heard that's not like high class dining. He also says he gives them allowances, which basically means that he gives them money to spend time with him, and he also pays for like their rent and car payments and stuff like that, which is really weird when he claimed that Lucy Fox was a gold digger and that's why he drifted away from her, because she just wanted money from him, when that seems to be what the entire relationship he's describing here actually is. Boogie's fanbase also kind of shows how neckbeardy and incel-y a lot of them are, because they say this is totally reasonable, and it's also probably cheaper than having a real girlfriend. I think it's kind of proves that none of them have had girlfriends before, because I've never had to pay my girlfriend to hang out with me, and also my girlfriend makes her own money, which she brings into our relationship, so I don't really think it's at all the same. Boogie also claims that after the divorce, he only wanted to have sex and have fun, and he didn't really care about the emotional connection, which directly contradicts his previous statements where he blames him failing the surgery because of not having an emotional support network because of his wife leaving her, in a way to pretty much blame her for his surgery failing and him falling apart emotionally and mentally, which led to the downfall of his career. So yeah, it kind of directly contradicts it. But now he's suddenly claiming that the divorce was the best thing that's ever happened to him because he wanted to have, and I quote, a classic high school experience, which... Okay, look, Boogie. You complain constantly about people incorrectly calling you a pedophile, which I understand. Now you're talking about how it was so great that you got to pay usually very young girls to sleep with you, saying you had sex, sometimes a lot, which is a weird, hilarious statement, but claiming that it was also a high school experience that you wanted, so you could hang around with lots of young, attractive people because you didn't get to have that. Firstly, that sounds incredibly creepy, okay? That's just my advice to you. Don't ever say that again. It sounds really weird, and it's a lot of ammunition for people who just want to call you a pedo. Secondly, this kind of clashes with what you said before, where you claimed that you had a girlfriend from most of high school, where you lost your virginity to Danny when you were, like, with her for 7 years, and you lost your virginity at, like, 15, so you did have a high school crush and a high school experience. What are you talking about? So, did Danny not exist? Did this whole thing not actually happen, and you're making this up? Is that another fake relationship now? Or are you rewriting history once again to try and explain why it's okay for you to be weird around young girls now? It's just kind of weird, guys, to hear him talk about the divorce in a totally positive light, especially after watching his divorce stream recently. It's so weird as he rewrites history, claiming that it allowed him to travel the country and do all these things that he couldn't with Dez. Even though in his entire autobiography thing he did on stream once, the only thing he could talk about doing with Dez was traveling the country lots and doing lots of the same things he was talking about doing with sugar babies. So why is he now making it sound like it would be impossible to travel the country with Dez? It just makes it sound like he's just trying to justify why it was okay for him to do this with these really young girls. Which, like I said, not a good look when you're rewriting history to try and justify why you're paying young girls to hang out with you, dude. Okay, that's me. Mask off. That's me being very direct with you, because I know you listen to this, Boogie. This is my advice to you. Stop talking about sugar babies entirely. Stop trying to justify it, because all of your justifications are either rewriting history, which then sounds bad because people like me have good memories and can point and go like, well, you said this here, and then it looks bad for you, it looks like you're rewriting history, or you just sound creepy when you say stuff like, I want a high school experience, okay? There you go. That's actually free advice from me because I'm a nice guy. He then goes on to talk about the two sisters story once again, and how you'll only talk about it if people donate once again. He repeatedly claims it's such a hard story for him to tell, despite having told it in a full YouTube video, and also on a panel in front of actual children, which he did point out at the Retropalooza event in June this year.
Well, it's just because you're a Sam Hyde fan. You're brainwashed. You're part of the cult. You're part of the cult. Join the Boogie cult. We have Mountain Dew and others. Okay. So that's something I've been talking about on YouTube recently too, by the way. I don't know, I think, I know a lot of guys in this room remember me from the olden times of this great. I'm so glad I get to be part of your youth, part of your childhood, part of whatever. But the videos I've been making recently have been wild. And I know YouTube's not pushing them out, but I think it's worth taking a look at because I talked about some crazy stuff. And in fact, if there wasn't kids in this room right now, I would tell you how I ended up being tunnel brothers with Logan Paul. I want that sentence to settle in. For those of you who know what that means, I've made such bad life choices that I am now tunnel brothers. Eskimo brothers for the with Logan Paul, the suicide forest guy. I'm a 47-year-old man, and I'm doing... Oh, God, I still don't know how to live with myself.
The story is generally the same, well, except him forgetting which the Paul Bros it was for a while, but then saying he thinks it was Logan. He claims that these two young Canadian girls were traveling America, and luckily were in Dallas with him at the exact same time. They met him, and they had sex with him as half-sisters, and this disgusted him, even though he knew about that going into it. He claims that this horrified him so much that he stopped sugaring. Despite all the sugaring that he has clearly done this year as well. He claims that it horrified him because he had made the same horrible life decisions as Logan Paul. That young, attractive, multi-millionaire, super successful guy who is far more successful in a single month than Boogie has probably been in his entire career. That was the issue though, guys. Not that he had paid two half-sisters to have sex with each other. No, it was definitely because he shared traits with Logan Paul. Hilariously, someone actually made the connection, though, that this story about him and Logan Paul sharing the same girl actually seems to be Boogie stealing someone else's story and treating it as his own, like in this famous clip.
Okay, guys, Boogie just pulled out this big old chocolate bar out of his pocket.
I was at lunch, look at this, and this girl walks up to me, she goes, I'm a cheerleader, and I would want to know if you would like to buy some chocolate for $5. And I said, for charity? She was like, for charity, it's going to go to pay for my cheerleaders to go to the beach for the first time or something. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. Oh, shit. Was that it? I can't remember. That was your story. That's right. Okay.
You're getting my story confused. I had someone a few years ago that was asking, selling chocolate bars. They want to go to the beach for the first time. Boogie got confused and thought that was his story.
I don't remember anymore. I'm at a convention. Do you know the last time I slept? Today's Saturday. Do you know the last time I slept? Tuesday. Okay? Right?
Well, this time he stole a storyline from Logan Paul's podcast, where he learnt that him and another guy in the podcast were quote-unquote Eskimo brothers. But of course Boogie has to put his own spin on it to make it even more dramatic and over the top and interesting.
Oh, this is oh God, this isn't awkward then.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. You guys were like, oh shit! Did you come on thinking that was still a thing?
I have no idea. I am. Hey, we're Eskimo brothers.
I know, bro. Dude, that's cool, right?
This is great.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say that, but you said it. So.
I didn't know. Well, fucking.
Yo, let's fucking go.
I'm not mad at it, though.
Do you guys both feel like you escaped some sort of disaster?
The head donator that Boogie mentioned earlier on, Uncle Chris, does actually show up as requested and then starts to donate. So Boogie claims that because of that, he will reveal something that will definitely get him on the front page on livestream feels, and people will hate him because of it. And what's this huge revelation, I hear you ask? Well, it's that he really loves being generous and spoiling people, and he really loves being nice to people. You know that thing he claims all the time, but there's really little evidence of? Yeah, that's the thing that's going to get him on livestream feels and get him cancelled online. That he loves being nice to people. It's something he does in his Whatnot streams a lot, where he claims he's literally the most generous person on the entire platform. And then, even after all of his begging this month, in his last stream, he then goes on to say that he's financially supporting a different friend other than Chad as well. After all these donations, apparently he is just giving money away to random people he knows after people give him the money. Obviously, there is no evidence of this, but imagine if it was true. Boogie begged his fans to give him money, so he could then give it to someone else to claim that he was generous for giving them the money someone else gave to him after he begged. This is like top tier manipulation. It is the multi-level marketing scam of manipulation if it's even close to being true. He once again rants at Twitch as a dead platform for daring not promote him enough, but then weirdly complains that you can't say cracker as a slur against white people on Twitch. You know, really showing off his true centrist vibe that he claims to have. It's just so weird from someone who claims that we're all about love and he just wants people to love each other and be nice to each other and how he hates racism and he wants everyone to work together and just be friends and be happy. But then he's complaining about a Twitch policy that doesn't let you specifically insult white people for being white. It's so bizarre. Like I said, it would make much more sense if it wasn't coming from Boogie yet again. We then get another, I shouldn't say this guys, donate if you want me to say this crazy thing again. And what he then goes into basically saying that his emotional pain after his divorce and the trolling was worse than any physical pain he's ever had as someone who's nearly died several times. You know, despite half an hour ago on this very same stream claiming that 2018-2019 was great for him after the divorce because he got to have lots of fun sugaring. This is exactly what I meant, Boogie. This is exactly what I meant. Like, you can't even be consistent for half an hour. I am baffled that his fans watch this and go like, yeah, that makes sense. That's a consistent thought. I just don't get it, guys. The next stream then is probably the weakest, as so much of it is just dedicated to him either singing songs, playing his own songs or his own videos where he just sits there laughing at his own jokes. He also redoes the Mario trailer with him voicing it and claiming it's so much better because narcissism, guys, I guess. We, of course, also get the donate or I'll be more annoying clips, which does hilariously lead to him mentioning me by name in the video.
Irishman gonna have fun with the stream. I don't know who that is, but I hope they do.
Well, guys, you heard it here. He has no idea who I am. Thank God, we can move on. Certainly never gonna mention me again. Like, especially because that clip, a lot of people probably go, well, he probably doesn't know who you are. That, you know, he just said he doesn't know who you are. Yeah, he then goes into a 7-minute rant about how he's in such a good mood recently and he doesn't give a shit what a Kiwi farmer YouTube troll says about him. I'm going out on a limb here and saying he's probably talking about me since that's what he thinks I am. Out of everything in the stream, though, that's not even my favourite bit. My favourite bit is at the start where Boogie's doing his freestyle rapping because I genuinely think it's his best quality and usually when he's the most funny. It, however, does include a line where he says that he's gay because he likes Sammy. For some reason after this, he feels the need to explain to people that he wasn't trying to be offensive by saying gay and that he's a true ally to the LGBT community. Which brings me back to a previous point I probably made about 30 minutes ago now. Boogie finds being gay to be the most funny thing in the world. As he does his pickle joke every stream now where he pretends to suck a dick with the pickle, where he chokes Charlie Gay as opposed to Charlie Day, and he thinks that's a really funny joke, where he then claims as well...
When it comes to YouTube, when it comes to social media, anything for a bit. I'll suck a dick for a good YouTube video, okay? I'll let a dude put a dildo up my shit box for a good YouTube video. If it would be funny and it would get views and it would make me money, I would let 17 UFC fighters rail me for a weekend. I let UFC fighters rail me for a month. If I can make Mr. Beast money, I would bang homeless people. I'd suck. You know, I would do whatever it fucking took that wasn't illegal. One day, Uncle Chris, you know what I'm going to have to do for you? I'm going to have to come over to your house and give you a pickle break. Just like that. Just like that for you, Uncle Chris.
During previous streams, he's referred to trans women as dudes in dresses, and during this stream, he also talks about the McJuggerNuggets Drama, which I have covered already, but I will cover a wee bit more later on again. But during this, he claims that people calling him Boogie is basically him transitioning the same way as Jeffrey Saxton wanting to be called Emily Saxton with her transitioning. He seriously, with no irony, compares him moving from one town to the next and wanting to do a fresh start as basically being the same as a trans woman coming out of the closet and revealing herself. He also says he will humour people, that if they want to be called a woman, he will call them a woman, and if they want to identify as a dinosaur, he'll call them a dinosaur. It's surprising how much he seems to miss the whole point of someone being trans, and it's basically just saying that he sees them as pretend to be a thing and he'll just humour them and play along, which isn't very LGBT community friendly, Boogie.
Somebody tells me, I want you to identify me as a woman. You're a woman. Okay. I want you to identify me as an alligator. Okay. You're an alligator. I don't care. I don't care. I want you to identify me as a pansexual, demisexual, vampire, Nosferatu, alligator, dinosaur. All right, that's a lot, man, but how was there a succinct way to say that? Yeah, just call me Captain Big Daddy Big Dick. Okay, Big Daddy Big Dick, cool. But, you know, who cares?
I don't know if it's because of the McJuggerNuggets drama this month, where it was a lot about dead naming and trans issues. I couldn't help but notice, over and over again this month, Boogie repeatedly just making gay jokes. Like, it's like gay men are just the funniest thing in the world to him, which is weird because I don't see a lot of people calling him out for it, because A lot of his fallback is just to suddenly go like, haha, gay man, haha, gay man kiss, lol, gay men, they suck dicks, and they do it in the pooper, haha, gay man. And then when he's previously been talking about how he wants equal rights for everyone, he said gay guys should be able to suck big gay dick and do each other up the bum. Haha, gay guys should do that. But then when he's talking about women having equal rights, his argument is always like, women should be able to wear revealing clothing and have OnlyFans. It's like he sees women as purely sexual, so he doesn't think of them as like equal marriage and stuff like that or anything. But when he looks at like men, he's always like, "Ha, gay guys, lol, they suck dicks." I don't know. It's just maybe I'm overthinking this, but it's something I can't help but notice. So if you're watching Boogie content in the future, especially his live streams, just really focus on how often he makes gay jokes. And then anytime he talks about women and rights and stuff like that, it's always like he wants them to have OnlyFans and to be able to have sex with lots of men. To get away from that awkward topic, he also forces his chat to watch a tiny amount of his I Need Your Help video, where of course he doesn't show the begging bits or anything. He just says it was only for people to like and subscribe, and even going as far to say,
so I asked a bunch of people to consider becoming channel members, to consider subscribing here on Twitch, to consider liking and watching the videos in their completion, to comment and to subscribe, and maybe they could buy some t-shirts if they liked them and stuff along that lines. And you know, I never did ask for any direct donations or anything like that, but we did. I mean, there are definitely people who gave a lot of super chat money, which I was very surprised by.
He then claims, of course, that the algorithm on YouTube hates him and doesn't recommend his content anymore, showing his own recommended video list and saying that his own videos aren't there. No shit. Why would YouTube recommend you your own videos the most? My videos aren't in my recommendations. It's crazy he thinks people would fall for that, but maybe people just don't know how YouTube works, I guess. A lot of his fans during his streams will repeatedly ask him, can you stream a video game? Can you maybe stream a wee bit more? When are you going to stream next? And Boogie's response generally is just like, nah, sometimes I don't feel like streaming, so nah, I can't, I'm not going to. And like, as someone who streams occasionally nowadays, I have to say it's an incredibly easy thing, especially if, like, streaming like me or him does, because, I don't know, there's not really much effort into it. He sits down and puts a camera on and just kind of like sings the same karaoke songs over and over again, and just watches videos, whilst I generally just watch videos. It's not actually that hard. We then get a prolonged pity session due to someone asking him what he thinks of the PKA guys, and he responds that he doesn't give a fuck about them anymore, and that they did him dirty. Hilariously then making up a story that after his last appearance on PKA, lots of fans of the PKA podcast would come up to him at conventions and apologize to him on PKA's behalf for doing him dirty. Look, PK did not do him dirty. Boogie claims that after his meltdown in 2019, he found out who his real friends were, claiming that PK had shown their true colours. You know, despite them inviting him onto the show in March 2020, which then became their most disliked video of all time, with the entire comment section entirely shitting all over Boogie, so much so that the episode later they had to actually address the issue.
And this one was by far the lowest rated video I ever made. Ever. And there was a period where people would just dislike because we were late. Like the show hadn't even started yet, and I'd have thousands of dislikes because we live streamed it. And
you didn't like the piss?
No, that was 2 weeks ago. Last week was Boogie.
I thought people loved the piss.
They did love the piss.
Yeah.
People,
the Boogie episode, the last one we did. Yeah,
they didn't like Boogie.
Yeah, I never took it personally, not for a second. I think that.
Yeah, it's not about us. Look. I mean, you can tell. Look. I'm trying to think how I want to.
Not about us this time.
I feel the same way. You know, like Boogie can irk me sometimes. Like I feel like he bullshits a lot about things he doesn't know. When he's talking about cars, I was just like, all right, come on. If you're gonna lie, pick something that's not in my wheelhouse here. Like I know this is just silly what you're saying right now. I don't want to just call you out, but like, come on, don't say
the
this.
whole fucking like 35 first minutes of that episode. I would ask something, or like if you start a conversation, and like maybe 15 minutes in, I'm like, I don't think Kyle said a goddamn word this entire time. And then I started to notice, and by like the 25-minute mark, I'm like, he's making a point to say nothing this entire time.
I find nothing interesting about you, sir. I'm sorry.
I was on the other.
Unless we're going to talk about those chiclets that you got jangling around in there, then I don't want to talk about your nonsense. I'm afraid.
I must be in the wrong because 70% of the people agree with you guys. But I thought that his career trajectory and arc on YouTube was interesting. You know, we've watched a guy be one of the most beloved guys on YouTube. They called him the Mr. Rogers of YouTube. Now they're on the other side, attacking him for anything he does and says. That's dissecting it, finding problems, a manipulator, and like that was interesting to me to watch the arc. Not to anyone else, I guess.
I never saw him as the Mr. Rogers. I've always just seen like huge threads of people hating on him, and not on like specific subreddits, but like one week I'll see him on "I'm a total piece of shit," and then I'll see him on live stream fails. And you've never seen Taylor made a little face. There's a subreddit called "I am a total piece of shit."
You showed that to me. I just didn't know there was a.
Yeah, you know, look. I don't know what to say about him. I don't want to be too shitty toward him. He comes on the show. You know, he's polite to us. He's kind and everything. I think he does his best. Most of the time, as long as the topic is something that he is interested in or finds relevant. But then if it's not, you know, zip, he's out, he's checked out of the conversation. And, you know, he's got a track record of doing some things that, and I won't enumerate them, but, you know, if you didn't like him, you probably know what they are already.
So, yeah, guys, he can't just admit that it's because PK got a lot of shit for even having him on the podcast. No. They did him dirty, and they're evil, and actually all the fans really like him despite the massive fucking dislike ratio on that video and the entire comment section being anti-Boogie. No. All the fans were on his side, and they all kept coming up to him. It's exactly what he did when he fell out with Ethan Klein. Sonny said he met like an Ace 3 fan in public who came up to him and was totally on his side. It's embarrassing that he does this. We then get a great tone-deaf rant from Boogie because someone points out the kid behind the camera bans people for no reason on his Twitter account, and Boogie praises him for doing this and outlines how people don't owe you shit, creators don't owe you shit, and you as a fan, you don't owe creators shit either, which is, once again, getting added to my catchphrase, the @potwib6fb. After Boogie making a video begging his fans to watch all of his content and do his advertising for him, whilst Boogie also constantly argues how great a person he is, including during this exact same stream 1 minute later saying he literally stops people on the street to ask them how they are doing because he's such a friendly, loving, caring person. His entire bit is doing fake loving relationships and parasocial relationships with people and his fucking creepy ass fan base, but then argues that he doesn't give a fuck about people and he doesn't owe them literally a second of his time. Boogie then ends the stream by making a joke about men kissing men because, once again, I guess, lol, gay people are funny. And then he says he's getting ready to go to Magic 30 because he's already got the tickets. Remember that for later. The next stream was then on the 18th, where Boogie starts off by claiming he was going to stream after his video asking for help, but decided not to because of the negative reaction. You know, despite streaming on the 7th when he uploaded the video on the 6th. What? He talks more about his plans to go to Magic 30, how he's already bought the tickets months ago, how he paid for the plane tickets already, entirely using points so they were basically free, how he used points to get the hotels as well so they were basically free, but weirdly is acting like he actually now can't afford it, despite saying that it should only be about $500 in Ubers and food, which is ungodly overestimating how much you spent on food and Ubers, but I guess maybe not for Boogie. This stream is just so much of what I came to expect from Boogie this month, and that's why I said before, it wasn't actually a lot of fun a lot of time because it was so repetitive. For example, he suddenly points out that he can't afford to go to Magic 30 even though it might cost him $500 at most. But then also in the same breath points out that he has so much money in Magic the Gathering cards that he intends to take with him to sell, so he just has to humble brag that he's super rich but also ask for pity because he's poor at the same time. Then a raid comes in and he immediately e-begs from the raiders, but then does his usual trick like he did with the Tesla where he pretends that the e-begging was a joke. Then he brings up the whole begging drama to act stunned that people would dare even think someone like him would ask for money, but then cries that people are bullying him because apparently it's okay and normal for YouTubers to beg for money. So Boogie, which one is it? Is it that you were begging for money and you're getting bullied for it when it doesn't make sense because everyone does it, or you were never asking for money? Dude is literally using the same arguments in the same sentence. This is also when he gets called out for sugaring and he makes a point that he made $500,000 in 2018, which is weird because he claimed originally he made $1 million and he only got $500,000 because he gave it away to Dez, even though we know he only gave $20,000 to Dez. But then he says he only spent $10,000 on sugaring, not the $100,000 he claimed earlier this month. We get more ranting about marriage for his incel audience, and for some reason he burps a lot during the stream, like he genuinely has been possessed by the spirit of DSP or something like that.
That's a little boring. It's a little boring around here. I think Barnacules is probably a more impressive streamer than me. But that said, I'm so glad you're here. If you haven't given me a follow, I would be glad to take a follow. If you got an Amazon Prime sub laying around, I'll take the Amazon Prime. Welcome to the Boogie2988 e-begging spectacular. Oh shit, we were just about to get into the, oh God, I'm sorry. I just had dinner. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Get about it. I didn't need no ring on my finger. I didn't need that. I was happy just being with somebody, but she, now keep in mind, we were broke when we planned to get married. I had no real money coming in. I made like maybe $20,000 a year, which is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad to make 20 grand a year, but it wasn't like marry a fat loser kind of money. You know what I'm saying? Here's how I know you're not serious about me starting an OnlyFans. Where was the donations and subs? I got these titties out. Nobody subscribed. Not a single person. I know you got Amazon Prime subs laying around that you ain't using, son. And if you're a first-time sub, you get a warble. And nobody, it's okay. I get it. But this is my e-begging spectacular. I need a goddamn Tesla and I need it now.
Of course, during the stream, we also get a lot more, and I say this with like the biggest air quotes imaginable, jokes about people not donating enough and joking about getting hype trains going. We get more crying about haters, including an amazingly fake story he had with his therapist, where his therapist basically told Boogie he's just too awesome a person, and he's being far too nice to people, and how Boogie just wants to help everyone, and talks to everyone, which causes him so much trouble, and how Boogie always just listens to what other people have to say, and he tries to have discussions with them. You know, like when anyone disagrees with his opinion on Twitter and he immediately retweets them to sick his fan base on them and goes, lol, typical MAGA, or lol, typical Ethan Klein fan, or some shit to deflect all criticism and just get rid of their point without having to address it in any way by saying, look at this person, they are so beneath me. Yeah, Boogie, you're just too open to conversation and too friendly with people on Twitter. That's your problem. But no, he's finally learned from his therapist, guys. He just doesn't care anymore, and he's gotten so much better at ignoring hate. You know, in the stream where he randomly brought me up and did another he might be gay joke because he's such an LGBT ally, it really comes across to me as someone who just ignores the haters and is just so over it, but at the same time is also just such a nice guy. The stream in general was just a lot of begging and claiming it was joking. It's probably going to be his new strategy for a while, just like he did with the Tesla. He's going to keep referencing back to the I need your help video and saying, well, look at these crazy guys, for some reason they thought I was begging here, guys, over and over and over again. We mentioned Magic 30 a few times this video already. If you're unaware, it's a big 30th year anniversary special convention being held in Las Vegas for Magic the Gathering. It's a big event that Boogie had been pimping his attendance off for months now. On his Whatnot streams, he claimed that the money he was making there was so he could attend. And he's done numerous of these streams across the months, selling his Magic the Gathering cards. This month alone, he actually streamed 3 separate times and Whatnot, usually for about an hour or so each, and usually making at least $1,000. I don't really care about these streams that much because a huge amount of the time they're just actually quite boring, with him just sitting there selling cards, and repeatedly, and I do mean repeatedly, telling people in the chat how incredibly generous he is, including him getting angry at one point because some guy randomly came in and said the price of a card was too high, so much so that he kept mentioning it several different times throughout the stream, and then asking his chat to more or less dogpile the guy for his opinion. The biggest problem is, though, he streamed on the 11th and 12th. This was said on the 12th, and on the 11th he had listed a card as $70 when it should have been $10, which, fairness to him, he did catch before sending it, but that doesn't really fill me with confidence that he accidentally marked a card up by 700%. We do get the odd nugget of hilarity scattered throughout them though, like on the 11th when Boogie claims he gets so many troll letters and angry letters that he actually can't check his mail anymore. Like, this is a lie, people don't care about Boogie that much. However, it does lead to him saying that he is actually scared to check his mail in case a troll sends him anthrax. Yes, I'm serious. So he actually gets Chad to check them instead.
I hope you get the card I sent you. Thanks, my friend. I'll ask my roommate. He checks the mail. You know, I used to check the mail every day, but I leave it up to my roommate. Let me tell you why. I started getting these postcards from people who hated me. And they would say, like, they were really bad for my mental health. But, like, one guy was like, you're going to jail, motherfucker, because you touch kids. Like, all kinds of fucked up shit. And, like, I'm afraid someone's going to mail anthrax or something. So, my roommate volunteered to check the mail so I don't have to see that messed up shit.
He also claimed that he closed his P.O. box. Not because of the incoming anthrax attacks, obviously. Instead, it's because he felt so bad because his fans were just too generous and too nice and gave him so much stuff. You know, despite the begging video 6 days before he claimed this. Oh yeah, and we also have this clip that I've probably played to death on my live streams at this point.
And the third guy says, guys, I think I fucked up.
Okay, yes, whilst I did laugh at this clip before, because it is a funny thwack noise, it is still a 10-second clip that really does show Boogie in all of his negative glory. He's a man who claims that he loves his dog so much because it's the dog that kept him alive, and it's also the reason that he went out to face Frank Castle, because he thought if he went out and Frank could kill him but leave the dog alone. All of this insane shit about this dog. But then he punches the dog in the face and doesn't even bother to check on the dog because he's too busy performing and being once again, I'm picturing quotation marks 20 miles tall here, a comedian. That he doesn't even care about the dog until he finishes his little comedy routine. This clip is so telling of Boogie. His dogs are a prop for his videos, for sympathy, for attention, but if it potentially hurts a dog in a live stream where he's goofing around and being silly, he'd still rather finish his joke before even checking on the dog. Magic30 also caused Boogie issues on Twitter as he suddenly announced, whilst at Retropalooza, that he was going to cancel going to Magic 30. He claims this was hard for him as it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, really grinding for sympathy, as he says that he can't even go on a budget because it would be irresponsible for him to ask for help and then spend the money on something like this. So, we're back again to this being about donations and not clicks and subscriptions then. Glad we're consistent. Boogie, of course, though, had to take it a step further, claiming that he wasn't going to go just so people couldn't spin false stories about him, and that it would hurt the people who supported him with just views and a t-shirt. Okay, so it's not about donations anymore. Cool. So yes, Boogie, in the span of a few messages, totally changed his entire story about why he wasn't going, and of course made himself a martyr, again. He of course got a huge amount of pushback for very clearly manipulating his audience, so much so that a guy called Billy the Fridge and a guy called Barnacles went to war with a troll for literally a week straight, arguing with him back and forth. Until, well, the troll dropped this clip in the comments section.
Sure, I fell off, but I was relevant for 14 years, and I'm still making 5 figures a month right now off of doing this. I get paid on the TikTok Creator Fund. I get paid from YouTube. I get paid from Twitch. I get paid from merch. Look, I know you want me to quit social media. It's not going to happen as long as I'm making money. And when people tell me to go get a real job, it makes me laugh because I'm not going to go work harder to make less money. That might be your choice. It definitely ain't going to be mine.
Weirdly, neither of them decided to respond to that specific message. And if you don't know who Billy the Fridge is, he's like a washed-up YouTuber who does awkward podcasts as a rather rotund man himself, sitting there with a young e-girl. I wonder why Boogie's his friend. And also, if you don't know Barnacles, he's a washed-up YouTuber who posts fat, shirtless pictures of himself and makes tee-hee gays are funny jokes on Twitter. I wonder why Boogie is his friend. He also uses a lot of the old excuses of a friend told him not to go. People, of course, call him out on this, being the same excuse he uses all the time, so he blocks them and refers to them as evil for saying that he uses that as an excuse. I'm so glad that Boogie is full of love for everyone, and even his therapist tells him he's just too nice to everyone, even as he literally calls randos on Twitter evil for questioning his excuse. Now, I did make the prediction that he's probably going to go to Magic 30 anyway. The reason I made this prediction is because he went Twitter silent around about the time Magic 30 was happening, and also because he posted a picture of himself for his Halloween costume, but it was clearly an old photograph of himself. However, my chat generally disagreed with me, and it does look like alright, because not long after I made my prediction, he posted himself, current day in the costume, so I guess I was wrong. So, if I have to eat shit, I have to eat shit. But my assumption was mainly because he made such a big song and dance about not going, I kind of thought he was hoping people would tell him that they wanted him to go, but the response was super negative, so he ended up actually deleting the original tweets. He hasn't posted himself at Magic 30 at the time of writing this, but I was expecting he'd wait until after it had happened, then say he was there and that he only hadn't announced it because he was worried trolls would come and attack him or some nonsense like that. Admittedly, there's also something else to consider. Boogie had previously been banned from a charity event by Wizards of the Coast due to how toxic he's seen in the left-leaning community nowadays. So maybe he was actually politely informed by Wizards of the Coast that he wasn't welcome at Magic 30, and that's why he pulled out last minute. But who knows? I don't think we'll ever get a real answer from Boogie. Maybe in 2 years' time when he thinks he can finally rewrite history again. His Twitter activity is a lot of the same stuff we get every single month, but a lot of it is also directly related to the main drama, so I'll try and see if I can get this smashed out quickly. He starts off the month strong though on the first, saying how horrified he is with the boy in the band allegations of abuse from a Reddit thread. Yes, Boogie. Boogie2988, the man who cries about Sam and Tolkien years after it was deleted, is basing all of his evidence of abuse on a fellow content creator of a single Reddit mega thread. Irony is well and truly dead. Even better, when he joined in the Amaranth drama later in the month, surprisingly, he didn't immediately make it about himself, but of course making sure to point out that he's never even raised his voice at a woman before, especially when people started drawing the obvious conclusion and drawing connections between him and Lucy Fox, and how he was emotionally intelligent enough to walk away from bad conversations. You know, as the man who immediately outed his divorce 2 separate times on livestream, both times before it was decided, so much so that his wife was having to text him to stop talking about it, and he refused and kept going on with the livestream. He also starts his month off strong by making a joke about people with Alzheimer's. Like, I just can't possibly understand why left-leaning people would consider him problematic and don't like him making jokes that many would consider ableist, alongside his, of course, tee-hee, men in dresses, tee-hee, gay people jokes. It's weird that now that I'm, saying all this, that I just kind of, notice all of his LGBT jokes are about trans women and gay men, never about trans men or lesbians. Kind of strange. I'm just saying. He also comes out in defense of his own sugaring statements, pretty much saying that sugaring saves money because in marriage he has to give the woman half of everything, but not in sugaring, he just has to pay for their rent, give them allowances, and pay them to hang out with him. Apart from this being so ungodly stupid, it does lead to people starting to kind of call him out for his seemingly sexist view of marriage, that the woman doesn't bring in any money and just takes his money and his stuff. Which is strange when he argued that Des is such a strong, independent woman who was upset she wasn't working whilst being Boogie's live-in nurse. It's almost like he didn't actually believe that about Des and saw her in quite a negative light. Just saying. His begging video, of course, got a lot of negative responses on Twitter, and for some reason, the only, positive message he got, and, one of the only messages he actually responded to, was a young e-girl with red hair. Put her alongside the other young e-girl with red hair, I don't know, it just feels like he's chasing the dream of the redhead that got away. He hilariously, during this, also claims, though, that he feels weird taking donations on live streams. Despite the 3 live streams I showed you guys, where roughly 30% of the content was him begging. After the massive amount of backlash that he got, he did his usual coping method. He made a nihilistic statement, people called him out for it, gave him a lot of pushback. He then claimed that it was a joke designed to bait people, which is weird because he claims he is actually a nihilist, so I don't know why he thinks a nihilistic statement is a joke if he is a nihilist. Also, instead of Sammy shielding for once, he randomly posts pictures of himself as a child, which is a weird, creepy manipulation style. And then he releases these 2 videos that are him totally rewriting history, where he pretty much claims...
So I made that video last week explaining my financial situation. And I didn't even mention the $27,000 in legal fees that I had to pay and all of this other stuff. I mentioned the crypto because I wanted to own that loss. I wanted to own my L. I wanted to own the fact that I'd wasted some of my money, And sure, there's plenty of people dunking on it because I got pushed out to a much broader audience than my normal audience. But for every 5 or 10 people that are dunking on it, there's somebody that became a channel member. There's somebody that bought a t-shirt. I have sold more t-shirts in the last week than I've sold since I started. I've had more clicks to my sponsors. I've gained more channel members in the last week than I did all the way prior to creating the channel membership program. I genuinely, I cannot thank you enough. I'm shocked by it. And beyond that, there are people who have used the super chat system or even my PayPal to just outright donate money, which I am so grateful for. But please, if it's all right by you, I would rather you got something for your money. At least become a channel member, right? That's an option. But buy a t-shirt, visit my sponsors, get a PC, do something, get a service, get something for your money. And if what you think you're getting for your money is my gratitude, you have it, man. I am overwhelmed by the generosity and kindness that I am undeserving of. But thank you, and I am absolutely going to try to earn it. I've seen this comment a lot on YouTube, I've seen it now on Twitter, and I wanted to respond here. I try to make it abundantly clear in the video, but a lot of people don't actually watch the video. But let me make it clear here. The last thing I want is your money. If you have a lot of money and you want to give it to me, I'm going to be ever so grateful. But what I really want here is for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, click on the videos when they get posted, watch them in their entirety if you enjoy them, drop a like on them, leave a comment, and if you know somebody else who might enjoy that content, share it with those people. And that's entirely free to do. And the reason that's such a good system is it costs you nothing, but YouTube pays me.
So, yeah, despite the begging video only having come out basically a day before this, he is already claiming he had never asked for any money, that people just misunderstood the video, and when someone calls him out for it, he tells them to die mad about it. Just really showing himself as a strong mental health advocate who is a kind, loving person, like his therapist said. He claims he's doing nothing different to literally every other YouTuber in existence, and is annoyed people are spreading misinformation about him, saying people just don't like him, and claiming part of the reason is because he's autistic. That brand new diagnosis that he made up about himself last month that he says he actually hasn't been diagnosed with. Now apparently he's using it as a stick to beat people with. Why do you think I included the Alzheimer's thing from earlier? Of course you get more posts about how the trolls don't actually bother him, But then weirdly, repeatedly throughout the month, and even before this, he repeatedly points out that he has a certain troll muted and doesn't even know that he posts. He does this about 6 different times, including a really funny bit where he says, "Oh, I have had him muted. What did he say?" Despite muting on Twitter not actually stopping you from viewing their messages. And then he randomly accuses the person of being Frank Hassel. Speaking of Frank, of course he talks about Frank again this month because it's just a standard. It does lead to a really funny bit though when he's gloating about Kanye being deplatformed because, you know, Boogie actively supports deplatforming it even though he says he doesn't and always complains that people say he does. He actually does. He's actively gloating about it here. People then draw a comparison between like Boogie saying stupid shit online, but Boogie says it's different because what Kanye says will get people killed. People then very quickly point out that Boogie pretty much is a felon because he threatened people online, invited them to his house, and then pulled a gun, which leads Boogie to quickly delete the tweet. He of course also claims that he was just defending himself from Frank, but that the state doesn't care, which is weird because he claimed in his video in March that the judge and prosecutor both basically agreed that he was innocent, so I'm assuming he's just changed his mind on that now. Oh yeah, sorry guys, you know that Kanye tweet? Ignore that. That was just bait. You know, like, everything Boogie ever gets called out for immediately becomes bait. If he says something stupid online and people agree with him, it's a great political statement by him and he's so smart. If it was stupid and people call him out for it, it was just a bait, guy. It was obviously a joke, lol. You guys fell. I'm a master troll guy, lol. Oh my god, lol, guys. I also really enjoyed his tweet where he claims that if you see anything negative about him from Twitch, it doesn't count because apparently 90% of what he said on Twitch was just, you know, as a joke. He was just playing a silly joke for a long time there. But, you know, not anymore. So, you know, all those the clips that I pointed out from this month, you aren't a joke for those anymore, though, so we can insult you for those ones, right? Okay, sweet. Cheers, Boogie. Even Tommy C weighs in at one point. The point of that Boogie is once again advocating for censorship, which Boogie outright denies. Well, until he just doesn't anymore, and yeah, okay, he doesn't anymore. On the 18th, he also hilariously pretended he got 3 magic cards in the mail from a fan about the Frank Hassel situation. Like, suspiciously, he obviously got those 3 cards whilst he was sorting through his own magic collection for the Whatnot stream that night, but, you know, what are the odds those cards would arrive from a fan just at that very moment? And like I said right at the start of this, because Boogie can't deal with the backlash that comes from clickbaiting, a lot of the tweeting is just about the begging drama, generally just rewriting history over and over again. My favourite though is when he claims that the video has a 91% like ratio, you know, despite the 75% dislike ratio. It's just lots of retweeting angry comments about people, getting upset about them, saying how he doesn't even listen to these people or acknowledge them, accusing everyone of being evil trolls out to get him, claiming how his therapy has saved him and he doesn't even think about these evil people anymore. Just rinse and repeat that for basically 2 weeks straight. The anger gets so bad that he claims he's actually going to delete the begging video because of so many people misunderstanding it.
If you're in a position where you only have like $1 or $5, you can super chat that when you like a video. You can pledge $5 a month, $10 a month on the channel membership program.
Instead of deleting it, he instead decides to pin a comment to the top of the video to explain to people how stupid they are because they don't actually realize that he wasn't begging. He then deletes a comment shortly afterwards because obviously everyone just responds to that comment and just timestamps the times where he was begging. He also weirdly acts incredibly smug and condescending online about why he can't get a job, in a weird way, like he's nearly gloating about everything wrong with him, in like a, haha, take that haters, I can't work. It's just like, weird, because like most people want to work, and most people like enjoy working in some capacity. Boogie seems to enjoy not working and gloating to people about all the reasons and excuses he has for why he shouldn't work. It's really weird. Especially when he has that attitude, but at the same time will try and shit on cops just randomly and say he can't be a cop because he's not a racist, until of course people push back that, and then he immediately backpedals because that's all he does, and then people keep shitting all over him for this, so of course he immediately goes, haha guys, actually this was bait and you all fell for it, haha, haha guys, it's okay, I got you, I'm Troll King guys. I'm the Chad King, guys. It's just fucking embarrassing. And it's generally, like I said, so much to do with this whole begging drama and all. It's just really cringe because Boogie really wants to both clickbait people, but he wants everyone to praise him and he can't deal with negative response. So a lot of it is just this. It's just back and forth of him getting angry about it and then claiming he's not angry about it and then claiming that he doesn't care anymore and then getting really angry. It's just the Boogie cycle on repeat 200 times a day. It's actually kind of boring. We do get a wee break from the Boogie cycle every once in a while, like his Beautiful. Mwah. Narcissistic statement that his Fat Watch video that he posted was a short and funny masterpiece. And we also get the standard where he, shares a charity, retweets it an hour later just to remind you how nice a person he is for helping this charity. And of course, he doesn't actually donate to the charity because, why would you donate to a charity you're trying to get other people to donate to? It's just so fucking embarrassing. I want to take a wee aside here for a tiny little drama that popped up back on the 11th of October, which I find kind of interesting. It's from a small YouTuber called PeePaw Riverter, who posted up a video calling out Boogie for something he had apparently raised months ago. When I looked into it, it was something I also had called Boogie out on months ago. It was for Boogie's shirt, the one from the Frank Hassel confrontation. That was Frank Hassel's footage that he had just screenshotted that he used and was selling for profit without permission. Well, pretty much because it was a screenshot of the footage itself, it was a really low quality print. Several people called Boogie out for this being a really terrible t-shirt, including PeePaw, who in the video confirmed that he had approached Boogie and Boogie had claimed he was getting it sorted with the company. Well, months later, after he was getting no more help from Boogie and there was no refund coming, PeePaw did the only thing he knew how. He made a video about it, which admittedly gained a very small number of views. Until I, a good citizen who doesn't like to see sweet old men getting ripped off, decided to give it a shout out, and it very quickly got 10 times the original views, jumping from 30 views in the first half day to over 300 views after my shout out. Suddenly after that, Boogie gave it his attention, and he did what Boogie does. Now, I was actually on a live stream at the time discussing this drama along with a couple other things, when suddenly people started coming into chat and telling me that PeePaw had suddenly taken down the video and was actually deleting tweets about it. I then saw PeePaw had made his own stream shortly afterwards to give his own update. PeePaw actually seems like a really nice, chill guy, to be fair, but weirdly in his follow-up livestream, he doesn't still paint Boogie in the best light, but I'm actually sure that's entirely by accident from him. He confirms that the reason why he brought this up now was because Boogie was begging people to buy shirts from him and saying that you would get great quality shirts, which obviously from a guy who got like a piece of shit shirt who didn't get a refund is going to be a bit riled up by that. His original livestream is still up and I'll link it in the description, but the long and short of it is that Boogie finally contacted him after yet another attempt online where, well, Boogie pretty much just told him to go to the company directly to shrug off any responsibility. And then during the discussion on DMs that followed, he suggested Boogie was pretty confrontational about the matter, which doesn't really surprise me and doesn't really make Boogie look good. He then claims Boogie phoned him and spoke with him for a long time on the phone and that he cannot repeat basically anything that was said on the phone because it was too personal for Boogie, and he thinks Boogie should not discuss it with anyone else online and speak to a therapist. He confirms Boogie gave him a refund, which Boogie of course also ran to Twitter to ask pat himself for, but also states Boogie told him to keep making videos on him, which is kind of a weird thing from a guy who would later make a video saying people criticizing him the worst people ever and how they're trying to destroy him and he wants their account censored. PeePaw admits himself that he was probably too naive and ill-prepared to speak with Boogie off the cuff like that, especially because his livestream chat kept telling him how bad a person Boogie actually is. PeePaw, however, had come away from the conversation thinking that him and Boogie were going to possibly meet up in real life to hang out and become friends, which I kind of feel sorry for him for. So, yeah guys, I don't really think I need to paint by numbers here for you, but I give the guy a shout out. Boogie immediately jumps in his DMs to be pissy with him. Certainly no correlation there whatsoever. And then he randomly phones him and guilt trips him so hard that PeePaw felt bad enough to delete his original video and make a live stream to pretty much praise Boogie, because he felt so bad for him because of all the incredibly personal things Boogie told him over the phone. Like I said, that was Boogie being Boogie. The biggest meltdown from Boogie this month is something I actually covered in a separate video. It's to do with his old circle of friends, including McJuggerNuggets, Emily Saxton, and Kid Behind the Camera, where Boogie would just sit there and spam dozens upon dozens of tweets in a row. I'll link that video below because it does have quite a funny bit on Boogie in it. Long story short, McJuggerNuggets had made a joke on a livestream that an old friend of his, Emily Saxton, a trans woman, found offensive. A bunch of people then rode into her defense, such as Kid Behind the Camera and Boogie, two people who had also had previous grievances with McJuggerNuggets. The whole thing blew over pretty quickly after an appearance on the Keemstar show, where it did come across like an organised dogpile in the McJuggerNuggets. Boogie, however, just couldn't let it drop like everyone else did, repeatedly spamming messages about McJuggerNuggets until about 20 messages had passed in 2 videos, and McJuggerNuggets finally responded, which caused a full-blown meltdown by Boogie, which lasted for about another 40 or so tweets and another 4 videos, which included Boogie dropping videos apparently of hookers he was creeping on as weird proof that he wasn't actually filming them, and instead a creator called Grim was filming them. Boogie claimed he had video that proved that he wasn't actually the one filming the girls, and then when he was asked to reveal the film as his proof, he changed his mind and refused to do so. Eventually, Boogie backed down from the whole thing, and later in the month claimed that him and McJuggerNuggets had since spoken privately and made up. Unfortunately, the story doesn't even end there. As I said, it came across as an organised dog pile, which wasn't really helped when Boogie later admitted that he had been working with both Emily and Kid Behind the Camera during the time of the dog pile to make his begging video. He also then was throwing shade at McJuggerNuggets, who I'll just call Jesse, during the whole begging video because he kept repeatedly talking about a friend who gave him bad crypto advice and had promised to cover any losses Boogie had, and when they didn't, he cut friendship with them. This friend was Jesse. The story also contradicted his story that he told at the time of the drama, that he had fallen out with Jesse because Jesse had kicked him out of his house for starting a fight with his dad and also for creeping on the hookers. This also contradicted yet another story he had told where him and Jesse had fallen out of the running of Storyfire, a site Jesse had funded to rival YouTube that Boogie was an investor in. Boogie claimed that he had disagreed over the direction and that Boogie had basically been strong-armed into selling his share of the company due to the disagreement, and that's caused the fallout. So to me it's quite obvious that the fight Boogie had with this drama thing wasn't over the incident that happened in 2019 with him being kicked out of the party because he had taken crypto advice from him in 2021. Boogie also weirdly claimed that him and Jesse had made up at the start of 2022. However, in June at the Retropalooza panel, he would repeatedly talk about how Jesse was an asshole who had used him for clout and wasn't interested in using him anymore because he couldn't get clout from him, and how Jesse had ruined him going to his mother's crypt by being an asshole the whole trip. So, I don't know, the story is all over the place on when they actually fell out and over what. Well, unfortunately the thing that brought the drama back to life again was the guy called Grim, who apparently was the one who brought the hookers, suddenly came forward with his own quote-unquote evidence of the whole offence, and he said he was doing this in response to Jesse bringing up the issue suddenly. However, as someone who followed this in way too much detail, I can confirm both Grim and Boogie both brought it up before Jesse brought up the drama. So, it's already a bad start there from Grim, who, like I said in my original breakdown, he either seems drunk all the time or just really, really low IQ. I won't lie to you guys when I say that I just want to sum up this entire 30-minute train wreck of what is apparently evidence as being so ungodly fucking stupid and bad that I get why no one wanted Grim on their side during the original drama. His entire argument is that Jesse shouldn't have talked about it because now he will have to talk about it, and like I said, Grim talked about it first with Boogie. He also thinks his evidence will ruin Jesse by showing that Grim and Boogie did nothing wrong. Well, maybe a little wrong. Okay, well, quite a bit wrong, but they did wrong too. It's... Oh, God, guys. Have a drink before we watch this section. Grim is firstly upset that Jesse would dare call his girlfriend and his other girlfriend hookers, saying that the second girlfriend wasn't a hooker, she only wanted to sleep with rich YouTubers because she was a gold digger. Which is a stellar defense. He then gets annoyed that he dared suggest that the girls were asking for cocaine, then admits that the second one was 25, so she might have, but then later on says that they both were doing it, but he just hadn't been aware. Like I said, listen to this guy's defense give you a headache because it is so fucking low IQ. He then claims that Jesse had said that he wasn't aware Grim was filming and showed evidence to show that Jesse knew. Please be aware, in Jesse's original response video, at no point did he say he didn't know Grim was filming. Like I said, low IQ. Honestly, one of the best bits about this entire defense is that it shows a lot of footage, which shows that Boogie at several points is hanging out near the girls, which is hilarious because Boogie's entire defense during the whole drama is that he didn't film the hookers because he was uncomfortable around them. You know, the guy who spent $100,000 in 2 years on fucking quote-unquote sugar babies is uncomfortable by hookers and doesn't like being near them. It's just amazing. Like, the clips show him at different times near them, seemingly moving rooms to be in the same rooms as them, as Grim also says that they moved the party and Boogie followed them into the other room for the party.
Nuggets party and the McJuggerNuggets party don't stop!
I just want to let the folks on Storyfire know that Khaleesi's got a great pussy, and I just saw it, and I think it's fantastic.
Listen.
A+.
The girls I was with were asking for cocaine. I wasn't even aware of that until afterwards. I don't do cocaine at all.
No, Psycho Dad! Psycho Dad, please!
Dude, I ain't...
Hold this, please!
This motherfucker will hurt me. I ain't getting in
Please, listen, please! We're just trying to have a little fun. I'll get the cops here in a minute. I'm not even playing now. No, please. This ain't even an act. No, get the fuck out of this house. It's not even an act. It's we're just trying to have a little fun. We're just trying to have a little fun. I thought you were getting it in.
Look, we're all YouTubers here. We're on a train on all these girls.
That's what I'm saying.
Grimm also uses the same amazing defense that Boogie used of, well, they should have just asked me to leave earlier, because somehow the exact timing of asking him to leave would have made a difference in this fucking story. Of course his entire fucking point then falls apart when he claims that he specifically moved from one room to a different room away from the majority of people because he knew he was being too wild, whilst also claiming that his defense is that he didn't know he was being too wild for the party. He also has such an amazing defense as he gets upset, and I mean like visibly upset, 3 years later, that a senior citizen had told him off and got in his face.
Bitch, do you know who the fuck I am? I'm the king of shovel style. I don't lay down for anybody. I beat the shit out of people in the streets of Brooklyn as people put it on TikTok, too stupid. Like, you don't fucking walk up to me and threaten me. And he's a county official. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck who the fuck you are. I don't care if you're 7 foot tall. I don't care if you're 600 pounds. I don't care if you're rippling muscles. You don't get up in my face and threaten to bust me up. You don't do that to anybody, especially a guest in your home that you invited there for a fucking banger. I was invited as a guest. I'm a professional fucking YouTuber, motherfucker, and I'd expect to be treated with respect, and I was not.
I literally, and I do mean literally for the guy who counts my incorrect literal uses of literally, I literally don't think I've ever cringed so fucking far at my own asshole hearing this fat, drunken, genuinely potato-brained dude trying to sound intimidating because he does fake backyard wrestling because he's upset an old guy told him to leave a party because he brought hookers that were offering to suck dick for coke. Like, holy actual fuck. Try to remember, guys, this guy uploaded this expose video 11 full days after the drama was done. And he sat on this. He scripted it. He thought about what to say. And he seriously got to a point where he was having a meltdown about how people don't understand how intimidating he actually is as a person. I have never heard a guy who struggles to get 30k views per video after over a decade of being a YouTuber being so adamant that he is deserving of respect for being a professional YouTuber with 800,000 subscribers. I am actually embarrassed for him, especially as his little meltdown continues to say that Jesse said that there were kids at the party, which once again, Jesse's video mentioned a wide variety of ages in his response, but he never once said kids. He said there were some young adults there. A normal response to someone called Psycho Dad getting in your face would be, okay, this is a silly skit, which I thought everyone thought going into this. Grimm instead only believed it was a skit because who would get in my face because I'm such a fucking badass? This must be a skit. No one would actually try and stand up to someone as tough as me. I'm not even joking.
Psycho Dad, up in my face, threatening me. And you know what I thought? Drunk old Grimm? First of all, I was mad that I was being threatened. And I said, but this can't be serious. Nobody just walks up to a dude like me and threatens him. They gotta be fucking crazy. Or, this is a skit. Holy fuck, I'm in a Psycho Dad skit.
Okay, look. Deep breaths. Here's a hint for everyone watching. Mainly for Grimm, because I know you're the type of weirdo who will actually search out criticism of you. If you feel the need to repeatedly tell someone how incredibly tough you are and how you don't lie down for anybody, maybe don't instantly back down like a little bitch the second a young guy comes out and then stand trying to intimidate an old guy around him like you're actually hiding behind the young guy. I feel I must repeat this. I am genuinely, unashamedly embarrassed for you. This is so embarrassing that I wanted to sum up this entire nonsense video you posted as just being dumb, lol, don't even bother watching it, holy shit, this is stupid. But I feel I need to include it because it is probably the biggest lolcow moment I have actually ever seen in my very short career, I will say, on YouTube. But as someone who watches Boogie, it is so weird to see someone try and feel so hard to be cool and impressive as a 10-year veteran on YouTube who does so little and is so unimpressive. Look, especially if someone pushes you and grabs your camera as you keep trying to film and then they push you outside and you actually go outside like an actual pussy whilst talking about how tough you are and how no one will stand up to you and how oh, they didn't try anything because they knew I'd knock them down. They shoved you at the door like a pussy and you ran away the second you heard the cops were being called. I can't believe a grown-ass man would upload this and not be humiliated looking back at the footage, especially as you intersplice footage to remind everyone how incredibly tough you are. Holy shit, if you're that tough, the footage should have stood for itself. You didn't need to cut in and be like, by the way guys, just I know the video's not showing it right now, but actually I'm incredibly tough, and if that 60-year-old man had tried it, I probably would have fought him. Oh, I don't feel like I can say it enough. I am fucking embarrassed for you. Like, holy shit. Look at yourself in the mirror for a very long time and realize that professional wrestling is not actually real. Watching this video was an experience in cringe I have never encountered before, as he feels to remind everyone that this 6-year-old guy didn't swing for him because I would have busted him up. Well, weird, because when people younger than you showed up, you immediately whimpered an apology and were shoved out the door straight away. Grimm, of course, then fucks up his own story. You know, again, saying he immediately phoned Kid behind a camera who then told him that Boogie was also thrown out, even though Grimm was thrown out at 9 PM and Boogie was thrown out at 3 AM for a separate incident. Like I said, no wonder no one wanted Grimm on their side during this drama. He made no fucking sense the entire time. Grimm also does address the Emily drama, finally, you know, what this whole thing was meant to be about, in about the last 3 minutes of this 30-minute video, by saying McJuggerNuggets acts like a child. He says this guy is a 30-year-old child, as this 40-year-old man gets upset that a 60-year-old dude told him to fuck off 3 years ago and keeps repeating how he could easily beat him up and how basically he's an unstoppable Hulk who everyone is scared of. Here's a spoiler for the whole fucking thing. This is basically the last clip I watched for the month because I didn't want to even give Grimm the view. So I had already watched the Keemstar show that followed this whole fucking shit show where Grimm and Boogie both went on for an interview, and I was genuinely shocked because Boogie suddenly for some reason took McJuggerNuggets' side, and I was like, holy shit, he kind of threw him under the bus there. That's so weird. Boogie's such a dickhead. I was really surprised by this, but now that I know all of this stuff, holy shit, I actually kind of respect Boogie a fraction more for jumping ship away from this undeniable fucking idiot. I will give Grimm one slight bit of praise. The best bit of the entire evidence is literally seconds into it, where he accidentally films Boogie on his phone as he sits there facing the two women who apparently aren't actually hookers, but were potentially offering to suck dong for coke, so maybe they were kind of hookers. On Boogie's screen, though, you can see this. A girl in a similar clothing to the one of the two potential hookers, with what seems to be the dark desk in front of him at the bottom of the picture, so either Boogie was looking up girls in exactly similar costumes by sheer chance, or Boogie was unironically taking creep shots of the girls, which I'll just let you guys decide. I have obviously no opinion on it whatsoever. The clip of the confrontation also doesn't really help Boogie very much because it does show him kind of getting directly involved, and he does move the camera over to film the girls at one point. So, whilst it's kind of clear that he's filming this because he does seem to think it's a skit, he's still involved in what starts to increase to be a very tense situation with, you know, the two men threatening each other and Boogie not really turning off the camera when he was told to and instead keeping it running and kind of joking around a wee bit in the background. So, I kind of get why people would be upset and think he's actually more involved than he is. Like I spoiled earlier on, the final bit of the drama was on the Keemstar show, which is really only funny for Salvo repeatedly mocking Boogie just being creepy with the girls in the footage, like say he was going to run a train on them, and also Boogie entirely throwing Grimm under the bus and pretty much just backing up everything McJuggerNuggets said. Of course, Boogie still claims he barely interacted with the girls, despite the footage showing him actually interacting with them and seemingly following them around the house party. Boogie also gets called out by Salvo for not being able to have sex, and then Boogie weirdly kind of talks about fucking McJuggerNuggets' aunt and how she might be good in bed. It's a very Boogie way to end the drama off. We also have Keem saying this.
Anyhow, long story short, DSP is a famous e-beggar.
Yeah.
So I had this brilliant idea.
He's an e-whore.
Because I know other e-beggars, right? I had Wings of Redemption. You probably know him. If you don't, look him up. You'll go down that rabbit hole. He's an e-beggar as well. You should have got a real job a while ago. Boogie2988, also an e-beggar. Should have got a real job a while ago.
Yeah.
As an additional add-on in this video, right at the end of the month, Boogie suddenly posted a video outlining his finances. I posted a separate reaction to it, which I'll link below, but there are a few points I also wish to make. Basically, Boogie outlined his outgoings as being about $6,300 per month, and a bunch of it I can't really comment on since, like, water, electric, gas, sewage, healthcare, I don't really know. I don't know America's system that well. My viewers as a whole generally don't seem to agree with it though, but I think for a lot of those things, they're probably like region-based and state-based and everything like that, so I don't really know how much you can comment on it, unless you very much know Boogie's area, so I'm not going to comment on that whatsoever. The main one I really want to draw attention to first, though, is his mortgage, which he later claimed on Twitter was a 15-year mortgage for $275,000. Now, when Boogie first got his house, I'm pretty sure, but I was unable to find a clip, so full disclosure, that he claimed it was around $250,000 when he got it. So apparently when he took a mortgage for it, he took it for more than what it's worth, and seemingly paid $0 in a deposit, despite around that time hinting he had a few $100,000 in savings whilst on PKA. It's also weird because on PKA 227 in April 2015, Boogie stated that he had put the majority of the money down on the house, implying that he paid a lot more than the standard deposit.
And not just that. I mean, like, if you have a house, especially if it's paid off, you haven't mentioned if it's paid off, but it's super cool to, like, have that sort of problem solved, right? And, and even if the YouTube thing wanes at some point, then you've got your living worked out, your shelter.
I put a majority of it down, but I'm afraid to go broke.
It's also unusual when you compare it to him talking about the Tesla drama in the middle of 2019, where he claimed that he still owed over $200,000 on the house.
Woo! Holy fuck! It's that car is worth a third of what my house is worth. My house is worth $300,000. I still owe $200,000 in the house. Now I just put myself $100,000 into the fuck. Oh my god, it's crazy.
When he was also discussing the Tesla drama, he also talked about how the Tesla would cost him about $1,500 to $1,700 per month, and it was weird then when he later talked about it on PKA, he claimed that the Tesla payment would be more than his monthly mortgage repayments.
My car payment's $1,700 a month or something like that. Maybe it's $1,500. I don't know. I probably don't need a $2,000 a month car payment. That sounds like a bad decision right now.
It's more than my mortgage.
Right? And so I'm like, yeah, it's more than my mortgage. So I'm like, man, that's probably a bad idea.
So the whole claim about how much he's paying per month on his mortgage does seem to be kind of silly and a bit weird. And it seems weird to me that he would exaggerate the amount on his mortgage compared to the amount on his healthcare that he could easily exaggerate, especially because people do know that he's unwell. He spends a lot of time with therapists, with doctors, and also with his medication. So it would seem easier to exaggerate that figure than a mortgage. People obviously, of course, drew attention to the fact that he didn't mention his therapist specifically when he was talking about doctor visits, even though he's been going for a few months now. In regards to his employee, firstly, he claims that if he hired someone to mow his lawn once every 2 weeks and have a cleaner occasionally clean his house, it would somehow cost him more than $1,500 per month, which is kind of insane, especially because Arkansas really isn't like a very affluent area. But this is Boogie just being Boogie again, suddenly claiming that he is no longer fit and able enough to do this, despite the months of health updates where he pretty much told us that he could fix his knee and has basically fixed his back, and how his doctor had given him a clean bill of health, but now he's unable to hoover the floor, mow his lawn, or pick up dog poo. It's also a very strange claim that he is paying his employee to do these things, when during his Retropalooza panel back in June of this year, at about 44 minutes in, you hear him say that Chad is now disabled and Boogie actually looks after him. At the time, people just believed he was saying this as a way to, like, push away speculation that Chad had finally moved out and given up on Boogie, because the house was gradually getting dirtier and dirtier in his videos, with even dog poo being visible in the background.
To have a car to drive, I was so lucky to have a home to live in, and to be able to take care of my best friend who lives with me and works with me. He's disabled now as well, and I help take care of him. And
Boogie decided to act, I don't know, coy and naive online as to why people would be interested in how much he spends on food per month. Because, well, firstly, that is like quite a major thing people do spend food on per month, so it would make sense people want to know that. However, to put it bluntly, he's a mortally obese man who rapidly put on weight and beat his surgery. Like, a lot of people are curious how much he's spending on food per month, especially because they think that's probably going to be a very big portion of it. He later went on to claim it was $600 for both him and his roommate together. To be fair, a lot of things were also left out of the finance, so I don't think people really take any of his finance things seriously, because as a dog owner myself, the first thing I would put on my finance list would be like my dog food, vet bills, stuff like that, pet insurance. Boogie didn't include any of that, so I don't really think you should take it overly seriously, guys. On Twitter, he was also asked how the gym was going, and what a coincidence, guys. He had just got home from the gym right at that very second. What the hell? Of course, he claims he doesn't say about going to the gym online anymore because people apparently get upset about it. You know, despite it being like one of the only times Boogie gets any decent engagement and actual support online. But no, guys, people get upset that he goes to the gym. It's not that people don't believe him. So now his new tactic of people not believing him going to the gym is to be like, well, I actually go all the time. I just refuse to prove it to you. Which is a beautiful defense, by the way. Beautiful defense, by the way. I can't wait to see how that works out for him. What else happened at the end of this month? Well, he posted a video claiming that he had once again beaten his food addiction, and also claimed that his stomach doesn't expand after gastric bypass surgery, which, spoiler, it does. This kind of information is actively dangerous, and it kind of shows why Boogie's not a really good role model for weight loss in any way, when he is actively lying, because your stomach does expand after weight loss surgery. And once again, he's just pretending he's beaten his food addiction again, which is just something. It's not good. Anyone who's trying to undergo weight loss surgery or anything like that, just don't listen to Boogie anyway. Just talk to your doctor. Boogie, of course, really got into the Halloween spirit, kind of making it even more clear why he decided to do his filming in his backyard, probably because his front yard is filled with literally thousands of dollars worth of Halloween decorations. But, you know, guys, he just wanted to stretch his legs and get some fresh air. That's why he sat out back. It's not for any other reasons. Obviously, it's not to manipulate gullible people. Yeah. Boogie also, I don't know, seemingly out of absolutely nowhere, posted a message saying how hard it was for him to date people his own age in his area. It's just bizarre. It's almost like he's responding to someone pointing out that he had a new sugar baby. Who could that be? I don't know. Maybe the same creator he's punched down at now 3 times in this month alone. You know, for using his terminology. So I guess this is a free one for me anytime Boogie cries about people punching down at him. Like, I wonder why no one really takes you seriously with that when, like, you're getting really upset that I literally just exist. I don't know. Hilariously, though, he did get dogpiled by his own comments section. I can't wait until next month when he claims he's never heard of me and doesn't know who I am for, like, the 17th time in a row. But yeah, that's the video. It's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but hopefully you guys enjoy it anyway. I want to give a shout out to my patrons, of course, for their support this month. Eswank, Haley, absolutely massive, Simple Wanderlust, I'm Just Saying, and Samuel P. Have a good one, my guys. Take care. Bye-bye.